committed to the nuclear deal.
For over 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. And as a Bitcoin-preferred business, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts Brokerage today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports the U.S. Department of Treasury placed sanctions on 3 Venezuelans and 20 entities related to drug trafficking on Monday. Vice President Mike Pence announced the sanctions during a speech at the Organization of American States in Washington, D.C., describing the subjects as narcotic kingpins with direct ties to Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro's regime. Pence says, "We have frozen their assets, blocked their access to our nation so they can no longer poison our people with their deadly drugs." The Treasury Department's Office of Foreign Asset Control said it identified Venezuelan national Pedro Luis Martinez Oliveras as a significant foreign narcotics trafficker pursuant to the Foreign Narcotics Kingpin Designation Act. He's alleged to have exploited his position as a former chief of financial intelligence for Venezuela's National Directorate of Intelligence and Prevention Services and accepted bribes for drug traffickers in Venezuela and Colombia to traffic narcotics through Venezuela's airspace, according to the report. Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin said this action is in response to Martin's extensive drug trafficking and money laundering activities. Systemic corruption and a collapse in the rule of law are defining features of Venezuela's government. We will deny corrupt Venezuelan regime officials access to the U.S. financial system as we work with international partners to support the Venezuelan people in a restoration of democracy and a return to prosperity. Walter Alexander del Nogal Marquez and Mario Antonio Rodriguez Espinoza are also designated for assisting Martin Oliveras in his international narcotics trafficking activities. The Department of Treasury further designated 20 companies, 16 of which were based in Venezuela and 4 in Panama, that were owned or controlled by the 3 men and allegedly used to launder illicit proceeds from narcotics trafficking and extortion. In January, the Treasury issued sanctions against 4 Venezuelan government officials accused of having association with corruption and repression. Are you looking for a cryptocurrency that has a focus on users and usability? Then look into Zencash. Zencash is the world's first private, distributed, and reliable platform for communications, transactions, and publishing. Zencash features global governance with inclusive decision-making, reliable funding for continuous improvements, and documentation and wallets in many languages that are available for Linux, Mac, Windows, and Android devices. Learn more at zencash.com. Reuters reports the FAA is investigating a collision between a Southwest Airlines aircraft and a truck at Baltimore Washington International Airport. The airline said Southwest Flight 6263 was pulling into the gate at BWI Sunday evening after flying from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, when a ground vehicle came into contact with the aircraft. Passengers got off the plane using stairs that were pulled up to the aircraft. There were no injuries reported to the 172 passengers aboard the plane. Michelle Agnew, spokeswoman for Southwest Airlines, said, "As with any event, we will conduct an internal investigation to learn what happened. It would be irresponsible to provide details until we've had time to thoroughly review the facts." This has been FPP Radio News. Online at fppradio.com.
It's the video sensation that's taking the internet by storm. A web series on YouTube passed the 100 views mark this week. Titled Andrew and John, the wildly popular webisodes feature roommates Andrew Vanier and John Haney playing fictionalized versions of themselves in unusual situations, mostly set in and around their Chicago apartment.
Dude, did you get my tart?
What's a tart? Oh, you just texted me a fart.
Their latest short, titled Laundry Day, reached the unprecedented 100-view milestone this week after a heavy promotional push in which the duo posted the skits to their Facebook pages. The hit video features the roommates wearing unconventional outfits while scrounging up enough change to do laundry in their basement. Other popular episodes include Foreign Landlord, featuring John's friend Brett from work, and a video where Andrew suspects John might be a zombie.
Our videos consistently get over 50 views now, but Laundry Day, that's the first one that's really taken off.
Yeah, everyone I know has seen it.
It's completely viral.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live. Of course, you can join us here. The toll-free number allowing you to take control of the airwaves is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We've also got Skype at Skype username LRN.FM, so feel free to reach out to us that way. If you like, you'll sound better than if you're on the phones, and the best way to get on with us is the Discord on-air call-in line room. It is at discord.lrn.fm, and there's a bunch of different chat rooms there where you can interact with other Free Talk Live listeners as well as some of the hosts of the show. It's totally free, so check that out at discord.lrn.fm. So, again, our toll-free number, 855-450-FREE, like freedom. In the news, there's a story that actually I wanted to cover a couple of weeks ago that we just never got around to, and it was on 420. And Johnson, by the way, joining me.
Hello.
Johnson. And I'm Ian. I think Mark's going down to Washington, D.C. for some kind of conference.
Ew.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to go there unless I got paid a lot of money to go to D.C. But anyway, this actually story kind of comes out of D.C., where the Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer was going to introduce legislation, and presumably he did this because this was written back a couple weeks ago, to decriminalize marijuana on the federal level, which would be an amazing first.
Yeah.
Adding a high-profile advocate into the effort to decriminalize, legalize, and normalize marijuana use in America.
Given the current administration, it seems like a far-fetched idea.
Well, who knows?
You're right.
I mean, things are starting to change.
Right.
And even the Republicans are going to have to admit that at some point, right? And there's been a lot of kind of scary talk about, what is it, Jeff Sessions?
The Attorney General, right?
Yeah, the Attorney General. That he has been talking tough about ramping up the war on marijuana, but a lot of those headlines seem to be kind of sensationalized, and there hasn't really been, from what I understand, any real fire. Like, a lot of smoke, not a lot of fire.
Right. Not yet, anyway.
Right, not yet. Well, I mean, we're 2 years in, basically.
True.
On the Trump administration. So, and we're still seeing more states moving towards legalization. Massachusetts is supposed to be swinging the doors open on their recreational stores coming up this summer. I believe July is the target time for that. So, not just Massachusetts, but of course Maine and California and Nevada also passed via ballot measure recently. And then also Vermont just this year passed legalization via the legislature, which is the first time that any state has done that. So again, all these firsts are happening. So the proposal would remove marijuana from the list of scheduled substances. For those that don't know, cannabis, marijuana, pot, whatever you want to call it, is listed as a Schedule I substance with the federal government, which means, according to them, that the product that's on Schedule I has no accepted medical use.
Right.
And it's right up there with heroin in Schedule I.
Effectively, what happens if it's removed from the list as being Schedule I, though, in terms of changing legality?
Yeah, does that end the prohibition, or does that just decriminalize it? I don't know. It's an excellent question, but it would go a long way towards allowing the states to legalize it, because one of the biggest objections is, well, it's illegal federally, so we can't do it.
I mean, how many of the laws reference Schedule I substances versus
cannabis itself?
Right. That's what I wonder too. Like, if it was removed from the Schedule I list, is that then
that may have a cascading effect?
Yeah, right.
It may actually. You're right, because if state law is written to say Schedule I substances are prohibited, Schedule I substances will result in a misdemeanor or felony or whatever it is they say.
And I wonder if even many state laws are written that way as well.
That's what I'm saying. If state laws say that, then that would essentially legalize cannabis at the state levels in those states, unless they all of a sudden write statutes specifically prohibiting it.
That would be very difficult in this climate, I think.
It sure would be. Not to say that some states, like, say, Utah or whatever, wouldn't try it. So as it pointed out here, this was a 1970 law, the schedule was, that classifies marijuana as dangerous as heroin for legal and regulatory purposes. It would establish funding for women and minority-owned marijuana businesses. That's not a good idea. Require more research on the drug's public health impact, and maintain federal authority to regulate commercial advertising, similar to existing regulations for tobacco and alcohol. Now, I can't say that anybody on this show is likely a fan of the idea of regulating cryptocurrency. I've got cryptocurrency on
You're
the
right.
brain.
Probably
right
most people on this show are not a fan of regulating cryptocurrency
That too.
or marijuana.
We talked about cryptocurrency a lot last night. So if you missed that and you want to hear a bunch of crypto talk, go grab last night's episode from freetalklive.com.
Or guns, or freedom of speech, or...
Correct. But the reality is, in order to end prohibition, it's very likely that the politicians are going to have to be thrown the bone of regulation. I don't like it. I don't support it. But it's still better than prohibition. To have a regulated marketplace is better than prohibition because even the black market has gotten better because of the end of prohibition in these various different states. So in places like Colorado and Washington, where now cannabis has been legal to use for recreational purposes and to sell for a long time, there are still people who are doing it illegally, right? There's still people who are growing marijuana without a permit. There's still people who are selling marijuana without a permit. And there are still police going after those people. So, in my opinion, that needs to end. But unfortunately, it's the process that most states are going to have to go through to end the prohibition. That is to say, there needs to be a regulatory structure in their mind created around it to continue to give the government control over this thing, because they act like marijuana is some sort of devil's weed still, and that even though they're letting people use it, they still need to have complete control over it. And I think that's unfortunate, but it's just that's been the reality. I hope that some state can break that trend. I'd love for it to be New Hampshire, but I'm not unrealistic in believing that that's even a really realistic possibility.
Right.
But wouldn't it be nice if New Hampshire was just like, yeah, we're just going to go ahead and strike this from the statutes, no more regulations, anybody can grow it, anybody can sell it, anybody can, distribute it, have fun, because that would be freedom, the freedom to grow a plant and or sell or use that plant. Let's go to your calls and thoughts. You can bring up what's on your mind. We'll talk more about Schumer and what he had to say about this. Why now? Why is this guy all of a sudden jumping on the marijuana bandwagon? He's not the only one. We've seen headlines about, I think it was like John Boner or whatever his name is, apparently joining some board of marijuana company. And this was like a drug hawk warmonger. Right. So let's go to Matthew. He's in Louisiana. You're on Free Talk Live with Ian and Johnson. Hello, Matthew.
Hey, just bouncing off the show that I heard yesterday, you had an amp who was upset that you don't bash Roger Ver and Bitcoin Cash all the time.
Or at all.
Another one?
Yes, this is now like the third amplifier who has quit the show, supporting the show because we don't hate Roger Ver and hate Bitcoin Cash. Basically, that sums up a 3-hour-long discussion we had yesterday.
So I'm surprised. I mean, what is it with these Bitcoin Core people not understanding freedom? I guess they're not.
Well, they
really,
have the freedom to boycott.
They're not really into cryptocurrency. They're into like losing money. I mean, is that like?
Well, I mean, they're not losing money. Go ahead, Matthew.
What it is they're like conservatives. They're into their version of freedom. And,
yeah, maybe.
I would totally amp the show if I had the extra money, even though I disagree with you all about, between 50 to 60% of the time, because y'all do an excellent show and you bring up important ideas and you force me to think.
Well, I appreciate that. And no one has ever had to agree with us 100% to amp the show. In fact, it's impossible because between Johnson and I, we have disagreements. Right. Between Mark and I, we have disagreements. So somebody supporting the show is just supporting the platform with the general message of freedom that we put out, because between just the show hosts, we have disagreements.
I mean, I have a disagreement with you right now about saying that they're not into losing money. And my guess would be that people who think like that are short-sighted and therefore are going to have problems investing in the long term.
Sure, but I mean, in the short long term, Bitcoin's done very fine for them.
In the short term,
they're doing just fine.
In the short term, but I'm guessing in the long term they'll either be coming back around to Bitcoin Cash or, having a rude awakening.
Well, I don't know, man. Like I said, I don't pick
or
a winner.
Different crypto.
I don't know if it's going to be Bitcoin Cash. I don't know if it's going to be Dash or something we haven't even seen yet that's going to unseat
kind of privacy coin.
So, Matthew, if you got more, hang on. We can bring it back here. More with Matthew. Your calls and thoughts, welcome. Our toll-free number, 855-450-FREE like freedom, 855-450-3733. Weed and crypto. crypto, or whatever's on your mind. It's Free Talk Live.
What's more profitable, running your business or doing bookkeeping? Doing your business, of course, but you want to keep your books so that you can maximize your tax savings, right? What if I told you that there's a person that's a bookkeeper, accountant, and law school graduate that's also a hardcore libertarian?
My name is Melanie Johnson, and I hate the state. I will aggressively help you to minimize your tax exposure and maximize profits, all while staying within the law.
Melanie's your best choice for your taxes and bookkeeping needs. Go to tax.freetalklive.com and check out our website, tax.freetalklive.com.
For professional staffing, there's only one name you need to know: Robert Half. Robert Half custom matches our candidates to your specific hiring requirements by combining personalized service from local staffing experts with an advanced matching technology based on 70 years of successful placements. For highly skilled accounting, finance, IT, legal, marketing, or administrative staffing, count on Robert Half. We'll find you productive, engaged employees. Learn more at roberthalf.com/radio.
Mother's Day sneaks up and we hit the panic button. We get suckered into online flower giants pitching $19.99 flowers that end up costing $60. Or we grab last-minute produce department flowers that smell oddly of green onions. That tells Mom you don't care enough to send flowers from the Bouqs. That's short for bouquets, and they're bouquing awesome. Bouqs flowers are as unique and special as your mom. They're freshly cut from Bouqs farms, delivered straight to your mom, so they'll last weeks, not days. Bouqs even has farms located on the side of a volcano that produce flowers so gorgeous, Mom will post pics of them and brag about you. And because Bouqs cut out the middlemen, you'll get amazingly fresh cut flowers at an amazing price. Show Mom how much you care. Send her artisan design flowers from the Bouqs. Order today and get an extra 15% off when you enter FTL. That's BOUQS.com, and remember to enter FTL to save an extra 15%. Bouqs.com.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, add yourself to the Shire map at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
What do you shop for that you could otherwise buy at Amazon? Pretty much everything, right? Amazon has competitive pricing and they deliver, and that's a big plus. If you could plan ahead in your shopping, would you be interested in saving up to 33%? There's a catch. You have to do your shopping in Bitcoin. But imagine those savings. It's like a huge raise. All you have to do is go to saveitpurse.com. We've saved thousands, and you can too. Plan ahead and save. Saveitpurse.com.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. Dial on in toll free to join us here. Whether you want to talk about whatever we're discussing or whatever's on your mind, it's completely up to you. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We do have Skype as well. Skype username LRN.FM. Also, Discord. On-air call-in line room is available to you at discord.lrn.fm. Mother's Day is coming up fast, and you can still go to Bouqs.com, B-O-U-Q-S. That's short for bouquets, to get your mom some beautiful flowers for her big day. So go over to Books.com. You can use code FTL to get 15% off their incredible selection from farms around the world, actually, including some on the side of a volcano that produce flowers so gorgeous your mom will post pictures of them and brag about you. Books also cuts out the middlemen, and you'll get amazingly fresh flowers at an amazing price for your mom. Show her how much you care and send her artisan design flowers from the Books. Order today and get that 15% off when you use code FTL at BOUQS.com. That's code FTL. Books.com. As we continue here, Ian and Johnson in the studio. We got Matthew on the line with us in Louisiana. You're calling in reference to the show that we did yesterday, which was exhaustively detailed on some of the Free Talk Live amplifiers, some of them long-time amplifiers who have quit amping the show. And it's no more than like 2 or 3, but it's still worth talking about because of the reason why. And their reason why is basically because we won't join in the war against Bitcoin Cash. Go ahead with your thoughts, Matthew.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a NRA member, and I don't always approve of everything the NRA does or says, but I recognize that from a Second Amendment point of view, they're the big 800 gorilla in the room. And politicians respect the numbers that we bring. I don't know what they currently are, but I'm willing to bet you they're north of 5 million.
Well, they're the big gorilla, if I may. They're the big gorilla in the room, but that's just because they've got more funding than the other gun organizations. They are not the most principled pro-gun gun freedom organization.
Not by and the Second Amendment Foundation is much more principled than they are.
Yeah.
But you can't have everything. And the Second Amendment Foundation, if I had the extra money, I would donate to them or become a member of their organization. But I've got a limited amount of resources.
I've also heard good things about Gun Owners of America and Jews for Preservation of Firearms Ownership. I've heard good things about them as well.
Those are one is a very good organization. The other one is just a chance for Larry Pratt to mouth off on Alex Jones' show.
All right. Well, go ahead with the point you were trying to make there.
But it's still the work of carrying forth the message of freedom, I think, is a little bit more important than a slight disagreement about, Roger Ver. And it really does sound like he really is the Bitcoin Jesus, because it sounds like a bunch of Bitcoin core people are fixing to turn him over to the Romans to be crucified.
Right, yeah, put Roger Ver up on the Bitcoin cross and pound some nails into his hands. Yeah, that's a great analogy, really. Because for listeners that don't know, Roger was and is, one of the biggest proponents of Bitcoin. He found Bitcoin by listening to Free Talk Live. Mm-hmm. He heard us talking about it back in like 2011, and he was a very successful business person. He was running a company called Memory Dealers that was a manufacturer of computer RAM, like wholesale level kind of computer RAM manufacturer. And he was actually already advertising with our show at the time. And so he was a listener of Free Talk Live. That's how he found Bitcoin. He put a significant amount of money in to purchase a bunch of it back then. And then subsequently took a bunch of that Bitcoin and invested it into various different Bitcoin-related companies like blockchain.info, as I understand it. A bunch of early investors, in those companies. One of them was Roger Ver, and then he spent all kinds of his own money going out there and creating different things to promote Bitcoin with, and doing interviews, and buying advertising here on Free Talk Live to promote Bitcoin. I mean, he was a linchpin in the world of Bitcoin. So no wonder they're so angry about him jumping ship and siding with Bitcoin Cash. I agree with you, Matthew. I mean, to me, this all seems very, very petty. This war, and the pettiness, by the way, does come from supporters on both sides of the Bitcoin Core versus Bitcoin Cash debate. But it's just such a big waste of time.
I don't know. I don't really care.
Here's a cautionary note.
Yeah.
Be careful of who you nail to crosses. They might become the leaders of the next movement that crushes you. Seen that? Ciao.
Hey, Matthew, thanks for the call tonight, man. I appreciate hearing from you.
Ciao, Bella.
What were you going to say there, Johnson?
I was going to say that it's just like I don't really care, in terms of Bitcoin or Bitcoin Cash. I just look at what I've seen, again, Roger over the years and his advocacy for freedom and things that are open and his, people are saying he wants a centralized platform when all I've ever heard him advocate for is general decentralization. And I know what's going on with Bitcoin and Bitcoin Core, and Blockstream and, to pretend that that's somehow more decentralized to me seems ridiculous. And then also to look at just, hey, if you want to go and buy, for example, a soda with Bitcoin, you're going to pay the average, $150, $160 fee now?
What is the fees, right? I
think the average fee right now is $1.50.
Okay.
Or something like that.
I spent like 40 cents on a recent transaction, but I don't know if that's the average.
Whatever. It's not lower than a credit card. It doesn't make sense. If it's not lower than credit card fees, it doesn't make sense, folks.
Right.
It makes it stupid.
They'll admit that Bitcoin is not a currency anymore. That Bitcoin Core, BTC, is not a currency. And that's not the way it was originally designed. It was designed to be something you could buy a cup of coffee with. And the fact that people aren't willing to use it as a currency is proof of that. You cannot go to a merchant in town here in Keene, New Hampshire, which is one of the highest Bitcoin accepting or cryptocurrency accepting businesses per capita anywhere on the planet, and ask the business owners how many people are paying with Bitcoin. They're going to tell you nobody.
It's like trading stock against a company that doesn't exist and has competition that does exactly the same thing as that company, right? If you're going to trade Bitcoin, right, like a stock, right, rather than a currency or a commodity, which it really isn't necessarily a commodity, it would kind of be somewhere between a commodity and stock, right?
Yeah.
It's exactly the same as like a stock for something that doesn't exist, because it is essentially, Bitcoin is, in a way, fiat, right?
Sure.
There's nothing backing it.
Someone wrote some words.
Other than math, right?
It's a program.
So it's a fiction. If you're saying if you're going to say, well, the benefits of Bitcoin are the technology, well, that's not limited to Bitcoin.
Sure, every other
crypto, and every other crypto has. So if you're going to base it on the merits of the crypto, there might be a better crypto. So all your investment in Bitcoin might vanish when people figure it out, and that's really what's going on. Is people are figuring out which crypto has the better technology.
Right. All the while, you've got these internet people arguing with one another. Hey, it may not be Bitcoin or Bitcoin Cash. It may be one of these other ones.
Pied Piper Coin.
Did you see that show?
Yes, I have.
Okay, so Silicon Valley was this week. The episode.
Sorry, that was a huge spoiler.
That aired was fantastic. I mean, anybody that reads the show description or whatever is going to know what they were doing in that show. But man, it was so pro crypto. Guilfoyle, one of the show characters, the things he said on this program were fantastic. It was just so great. If you haven't watched Silicon Valley ever, you probably should go ahead and get caught up. But this recent episode was amazing. By the way, next block fee on Bitcoin right now is 58 cents. More coming up.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Slingbow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug-out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of Slingbow, a new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
Healthcare reform is confusing. With the loss of the Obamacare mandate, those needing help can now choose an affordable alternative. By joining Liberty HealthShare, you're part of a community of health-conscious Americans all over the country who control their own healthcare costs and choices. Liberty HealthShare is not insurance. It is an association of self-pay patients who unite with like-minded people to share the cost of their medical needs. Neighbor helping neighbor. Learn more now by going to libertyoncall.org. That's libertyoncall.org.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market. Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. Physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
Anyone can publish on the internet, but not everyone is publishing material suited for online reading. According to the Yahoo Style Guide, it cautions that internet content has a few seconds, 3 or less, to encourage people to read more, to take action, or navigate to another one of your pages. So make it easy for readers to pick and choose. Isn't that the way you poke around online? Use short words, short sentences, short paragraphs, bulleted lists, and short pages. Front load what you write, putting the most important information at the beginning of headlines and paragraphs and sentences. Same goes for your keywords, what someone would likely type into the search box on Yahoo or Google. For more tips on communicating better online or in a job interview or everyday life, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
Some of our live shows are streamed in HD on Twitch. Please follow and share at twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. Dial on in here, toll free at 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. And the Skype username is LRN.FM. And by the way, Free Talk Live is brought to you by Bitcoin.com. Bitcoin.com is where you can go to learn about Bitcoin, more specifically Bitcoin Cash, but they do a comparison between Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Core there. But Bitcoin.com's got a lot more than that, though. It's got news information over at news.bitcoin.com, and it also has a mining pool where you can mine BTC or BCH over at pool.bitcoin.com. So check that out when you get a chance. Head on over there. And one of the things that one more addition to that discussion we were just having, then we'll get back to cannabis legalization. But Roger Vere's never told us what to say. He's never told us which opinions to have. In fact, the hosts of the show have different opinions. Chris Reitman, who's our Thursday night co-host, he's a big BTC fan. He's experimenting with the Lightning Network. So,
I haven't spoken to Roger Ver since I talked to him about Bitcoin in 2012.
What, at PorcFest?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was back when he was, handing out those Cassacious coins?
And I have one. And it is an error coin.
Which means it's worth even more.
Yeah.
So Roger never told you what to say about Bitcoin or Bitcoin Cash or which opinions to hold. He is a sponsor of this show, but he's never told us which opinions to hold.
And that error coin, by the way, has both Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash.
It does, and Bitcoin Gold and all the other Bitcoins.
All the other.
On it, or 60 or 70 or something like that, or dozens of these things that they have now. And I don't agree with Roger's opinion. Roger says one of the things that one of these boycotters sent me today, because I heard from another one of them late last night after we were done with our show. There was a guy who sent me a message, Johnson, former amplifier, saying he doesn't listen to the show, but he noticed we were talking about Bitcoin.
Okay.
He sends me a note last night after the show is over saying he heard that we were talking, he noticed we were talking about Bitcoin, but he doesn't listen to the show. And then he wanted to let us know that he is also a former amplifier who quit because we support Bitcoin Cash. Like, well, if you don't listen to the show, how did you know we were talking about Bitcoin? Well, either way, it's nice that you're still reading our show descriptions, even if you don't listen to the show or whatever. So my point,
I have a bot that texts me anytime the word Bitcoin is mentioned anywhere on the internet. And if the word cash follows it,
then I attack.
Then it sends an extra special alert.
Right. So Rogers never told us what to say. No Bitcoin Cash supporter, no Dash supporter, no Monero supporter has ever pulled their support from Free Talk Live saying, well, you like this other, you accept this other crypto, or you're friends with Roger Ver. We're pulling out. Only the Bitcoin Core, only the BTC supporters have ever done anything like this. And it just seems,
we can't have you speaking openly about a topic that we disagree with.
It's crazy. So anyway, Bitcoin.com, they're a sponsor, but they don't tell us what to say. We all have our own opinions about cryptocurrency. Go check them out. All right, so we started out the show tonight with NPR actually reporting on the new legislation from Chuck Schumer, who nobody here is a big fan of in general. This is a big government character in most ways. And in fact, his proposal to decriminalize cannabis even includes government funding for women and minority-owned marijuana businesses. So, I oppose that, not because I'm opposed to women or minorities, but because I'm opposed to government funding for business. I'm opposed to welfare across the board, whether it be corporate welfare or individual welfare. Again, you can support people who you want to support voluntarily by doing business with them, or by giving them a donation if they're doing something that you like. And if we're doing something you like, by the way, you can amp the show over at amp.freetalklive.com, ampamp.freetalklive.com. But anyway, back to the story here. Schumer told Vice News tonight on HBO in a recent interview where he previewed the bill, quote, "If smoking marijuana doesn't hurt anybody else, why shouldn't we allow people to do it and not make it criminal?" Yeah, it's a great question. Although some people are going to argue that marijuana does hurt other people, that when you smoke marijuana, you become a loser, and so therefore you're hurting your friends and you're hurting your business where you work and you're hurting your family members. It's a pretty tough argument to make, especially when you can give plenty of examples of productive marijuana users who, are getting their jobs done and doing a great job of it, and then, maybe coming home to smoke a joint rather than grab a six-pack of beer after work. The move by Schumer came on 420, the unofficial holiday celebrating marijuana use and culture, and Schumer's support is the latest indicator of the green wave affecting American politics, with growing support across the political spectrum to change the way the federal government sees marijuana.
Let's call it what it really is. It's not a wave, it's a bandwagon.
Indeed. And
the green bandwagon upon which the politicians will jump if they know what's good for them.
Well, they like to act like they've been out in front of it the whole time.
Oh, of course.
Senate Majority Leader...
They've been smoking all the weed. They're all really just big stoners, and they've been hiding it from us really, really expertly.
Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell from Kentucky took a baby step in that direction last week by introducing legislation to permanently decriminalize hemp, a non-psychoactive byproduct of cannabis that has been a boom for Kentucky farmers in recent years. So some states have decriminalized hemp, others haven't. But to do it at the federal level would be a great thing.
I think that we will see soon politicians wearing sport coats and blazers made from hemp.
Or maybe they'll start getting dreadlocks and really go
some
all
of
the
those
way.
like necklaces with the beads.
The reversals are fueled by a growing number of states that are successfully experimenting with changing marijuana laws and enjoying the revenue they're bringing in to help their cash-strapped states. Colorado, as you know, voted to legalize the drug for recreational use in 2012. Hard to believe it's already been, more than half a decade since then. and there's essentially no lingering political dispute anymore about its merits from either party there. Senator Cory Gardner from Colorado waged a battle against the Trump administration this year, and he's a Republican, by the way, this Cory Gardner, after Attorney General Jeff Sessions rescinded an Obama-era memorandum that advised federal law enforcement to deprioritize marijuana for prosecution. Gardner held up Trump's nominees for the Justice Department until he received a personal assurance from the president that this administration would not crack down on states that have legalized marijuana. Now, it's interesting. I didn't realize that, was going on. I mean, like I said earlier, we'd heard all the reports about Jeff Sessions supposedly going to be cracking down. Well, maybe this explains why that didn't happen, because this guy held up Trump's nominees for the Justice Department from being approved until Trump told him, we're going to leave pot alone in the states that have decriminalized it. Gardner's also drafting bipartisan legislation that would make it clear that states have the right to determine their own marijuana laws without federal interference. So you've already got 3 really good pieces of legislation being introduced across political boundaries here, Johnson, because you had been skeptical that the Republicans, being in charge of the American state at this point, were going to let this fly. The first one is this Chuck Schumer legislation to remove marijuana from the federal drug schedule. The second one is the legislation from John Boehner, who is going to possibly legalize hemp. And then the third one is this other character, Cory Gardner, who is drafting bipartisan legislation that will allow states to be doing their own thing with marijuana. Across the aisle, liberal lawmakers are likewise flocking to co-sponsor bills to roll back marijuana restrictions. So there's more. Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders recently, who is still an independent, even though he caucuses with the Democrats, became a co-sponsor of Senator Cory Booker's bill, who's a Democratic senator from New York, to legalize marijuana and let people convicted in the past of marijuana possession.
I only buy the dankest weed. It's the top 1%.
He would allow people convicted of marijuana possession to get their criminal records expunged. And by the way, that's something that's happening here in New Hampshire. I don't know where that bill sits, but there is a bill being heard by the New Hampshire legislature, and I believe it was passed by the House, and I think it's in front of the Senate right now, that would allow anybody convicted of marijuana possession to have their record annulled if it was less than 3/4 of an ounce. Because again, they've decriminalized less than 3/4 of an ounce possession, so they're talking about letting people strike those things.
What if there are like multiple charges?
That's a good question. I haven't read the bill itself, Johnson, but it's a step in the right direction.
Yeah, sure.
Regardless. The toll-free number here, 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. Also, on the way here tonight, Obamacare. I thought they got rid of that. I thought I heard they got rid of it, but apparently they haven't gotten rid of the whole thing.
Yeah,
because there's some restaurant regulations that are going to go into effect. And Johnson, you'll be telling us about that on the way here. You can also take control of the airwaves and bring up what you want. 855-450-FREE. It's Free Talk Live.
What's more profitable, running your business or doing bookkeeping? Doing your business, of course, but you want to keep your books so that you can maximize your tax savings, right? What if I told you that there's a person that's a bookkeeper, accountant, and law school graduate that's also a hardcore libertarian?
My name is Melanie Johnson, and I hate the state. I will aggressively help you to minimize your tax exposure and maximize profits, all while staying within the law.
Melanie's your best choice for your taxes and bookkeeping needs. Go to tax.freetalklive.com and check out our website, tax.freetalklive.com.
The Bitcoin.com wallet is a simple and powerful, full-featured wallet that allows you to send and receive Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Core with anyone, anywhere in the world. It supports both single and multi-signature wallets and is available in multiple languages. The Bitcoin.com wallet is available on Windows, Linux, Mac, Android, and iOS devices. Learn more at wallet.bitcoin.com.
It's about time something new came along for better selling and buying online. And I found it.
What now, Marge?
It's buysellmakeoffer.com.
Never heard of it.
It's a brand new company. That's why you've never heard of it. It's the newest and best way to sell any products online. I did all the research.
Sell my car?
Yes.
Our home?
Yep.
My golf bag?
Your golf clubs. All of them.
How about your purse collection hoard?
Hey, now.
You said any product.
You're right. I did. We get 30 days free.
Really?
Packages starting from only $9.95. And buysellmakeoffer.com will never charge item fees, ever. Never. And this is cool. Listen to this. You can even use Skype or video to show your items.
That's cool.
Yes. All we have to do is go to the website, sign up, and then load our stuff to sell. I love this site.
BuySellMakeOffer.com.
BuySellMakeOffer.com. You got it?
BuySellMakeOffer.com.
BuySellMakeOffer.com. Better selling, better buying.
Free Talk Live.
Yeah, then what are you going to do about it? Instead of sitting on a microphone, what are you going to do about it?
I've stopped paying income tax. My partner spent 60 days in jail for standing in the way of a police car that was taking somebody to jail that he didn't believe should be taken to jail.
So I've done cop blocking, I've done outreach, I've done all kinds of stuff. Do you need more? I've run for political office, I've gone to the State House and testified many times, and I also do civil disobedience. What else can I do?
You know, it's like it's pathetic, really. I mean, it's
What's
bad.
pathetic, sir? What's pathetic?
You are. The two of you are.
How's that exactly?
The two of you are, because you're pathetic. You just sit there and rail about stuff that you don't do a thing about. What
are you doing, Danny? Tell me something I could do that's
I'm
not
not
pathetic.
hosting a show. I'm not hosting a show. I'm
I
not
see.
the one that comes.
So you have no ideas. You have nothing
He's
original.
got microphone
and
in
now
right
you're
there.
going bye-bye.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
LRN.FM now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
Love what we do? Please help support our international satellite channels at patreon.lrn.fm. That's patreon.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. You can dial in toll-free and take control of the airwaves. Bring up whatever is on your mind. Our number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We do have Skype. Skype username's LRN.FM. And I want you to know about Liberty.menu. If you are a libertarian, if you're a voluntarist, if you're an individual who rejects the initiation of force and agrees to abide by the ethics of the non-aggression principle, then you really ought to be over at Liberty.menu, and you should be listing the things that you do there. So if you got a business, or maybe you're a digital media creator, or perhaps you've got an event that you want to promote to other liberty-minded people, Liberty.menu is that guidebook for you. It is a place, it's basically a libertarian business directory, but again, it also includes digital content, events, and more. Go over to Liberty.menu. It's free to use, it's free to list, it's free to explore, and it's a great site. It looks good, and it's easy to use. Liberty.menu. You can use code FTL, and you'll get a special Free Talk Live listener badge out of it. That's Liberty.menu. As we continue here, Ian and Johnson in the studio tonight, we're sharing the surprising number of various different pieces of legislation in the District of Columbia and Washington, where Republicans and Democrats are putting forward some pretty serious proposals to either decriminalize or legalize cannabis at the federal level. And of course, it wouldn't allow every state to just start selling marijuana, but if these things were to go through, it would mean the federal government would no longer have a say whatsoever. They would be leaving all of the states alone to decide their own cannabis policies. And so we've been talking about these different things, courtesy of NPR, where they also share that 30 states in the District of Columbia have already passed laws legalizing marijuana in some form, such as for medical use. 9 of those states and D.C. have gone a step further to legalize the drug for purely recreational purposes. Marijuana is also making healthcare advances this week, as the Associated Press reported that a group of U.S. health experts on Thursday endorsed the use of a medicine made from the marijuana plant to treat seizures in children. I think that's an important thing to point out here, because some people have said, oh my God, we can't allow children to have cannabis, because, again, there's still a certain perspective out there that marijuana is the devil's weed. It's evil. It's going to corrupt your kids. It's going to corrupt adults. It's going to destroy things. We've got to have the government to control this thing. And so those kinds of people have been pushing back against medical marijuana, saying, well, you can have it for adults, but you can't give kids marijuana. Well, it stops their seizures.
Right.
Don't you want them to not have seizures? This works.
It's going to slow their mental development in a way that seizures will help.
Right. Because a seizure, when, you're driving your car or whatever, having a seizure and then having a car crash, that's not going to help. That's going to help your mental development. If you take a fall after you have a seizure and crack your head open on the pavement, that's going to help your mental development.
You're not generally a child, though, if you're driving.
No. But I meant later on.
For sure.
Anybody can take a fall after a seizure.
That's true.
Right? Or during one. So if the Food and Drug Administration follows the group's recommendation, it would become the first drug derived from the cannabis plant to win federal approval in the country. The culture shift is also changing the way people celebrate 420. Revelers are trading in secret parties and furtive passes for public celebrations. And, of course, we did the 420 here in New Hampshire, where, by the way, we've had public marijuana smokeouts here for close to a decade. I believe this was the 9th year in a row that it happened. It started back in 2010 on the Concord, New Hampshire State House steps, and it continued this year. I actually have just finished putting out all the videos from that particular event. There were various different speakers that spoke. In fact, I never got around to doing it last year, so I had all the video from 2017, and it was just one of those things where I put it on the back burner and then just never took it off the back burner for an entire year. So this year I took some of the same people who spoke in both years, and I kind of sandwiched both of their speeches together. So you get to see all the speeches from 2018 and most of the speeches from 2017. And I just think that it's so great being here in New Hampshire. I just want to add this in here for anybody that's out there who has been listening to us talking about how there's this freedom migration going on here, which is the reason why, Johnson, you and I are here in New Hampshire, and the reason why thousands of liberty-minded people have migrated here from not just around the United States, but around the world. How many of all the 420 celebrations happening around the country, please speculate, or if you were actually at one of the other 420 celebrations, I want to know, of all the people speaking at the 420 celebrations in other states, how many of them were libertarians? How many of the people who got behind a microphone and had some political thing to say in Colorado or California or Florida or wherever it is these various different 420s happened, how many of them would describe themselves as libertarians? I don't know, because I weren't at I was not at those events, but I can tell you every single person who spoke at this one would probably describe themselves as some variant of a libertarian. I mean, you had people like me, Garrett Ian, you had Rich Paul, you had Rick Naya, you had all these people, Ginger Rogers. Many of these people either moved here as part of the pro-freedom migration, or they were influenced heavily by the people who moved here by the pro-freedom migration. Rick Naya probably wouldn't have described himself that way in the past, but he talked about liberty in his speech this year, and it was great. So literally like 100% of the speaking people delivering messages to the audience at the event in New Hampshire were coming at it from a pro-liberty perspective. That's how awesome it is here. We have that many libertarians here already, and we can use more. Of course, there's plenty of them scattered about the crowd as well. I would say maybe about a third of the crowd that was there was sort of from the liberty activist community, and the other 2/3 we'll describe them as townies, local people who just support ending cannabis prohibition and showed up. So if you want to check those videos out, drop on by the Free Keen YouTube channel. You can see them there. And the final one that I put up, so most of them were speeches, but the final one that I put up was something that happened right as we were pulling up. So the Keen contingent was arriving, as this was happening. So I wasn't able to get video, but luckily Garrett Ian, who's one of the bloggers from Free Concord, he got video of this. A state trooper comes down the steps from the State House where it was prior to 420, so it was maybe like, I don't know, 3:30 or something like that, 3:40. He comes down. Of course, people are smoking pot the entire time. Not everybody waits until 420. So he's coming down the steps, and he says something like, anybody smoking marijuana here, you have to leave. Get out now. And some of the more like inexperienced attendees, they started to kind of pack up and walk away.
Right.
But the majority of the crowd stood their ground. And Rick Naya and Rich got on the microphone. Were like, encouraging people to stay. You've got a right to be here. This is public property.
I think it would have been funnier if somebody just got on the microphone and started laughing. That would have been a great response, in my opinion.
Either way, the cop, the state trooper, who's I've seen around the State House, I think he's kind of stationed at that location. He recognized one of the state representatives, because we actually have state reps out at the 420 with us and have for years. So one of the Republican state reps came up, shook the guy's hand. There was some words exchanged, but again, I couldn't hear what you can't hear it on the video. And then the cop turns around, he kind of walks back, and he tries again, but he's much more defeated this time. And he says, if you're smoking marijuana, please leave.
Right.
So he went from "you have to leave now" to "please leave," kind of like Jeb Bush with "please clap." And so he kind of defeated, walks back up into the State House, and we never saw hide nor hair of him again. And that was the only time that I can recall in 9 years of people openly smoking cannabis when any state cop came down and tried to do anything like that. It's not like they didn't know we were there the previous years. They sit there and look out the window at us the whole time. But they had never done anything. And it was strange that it was this year that they decided to come out after decriminalization. Now that cannabis is a finable offense and no longer an arrestable offense for less than 3/4 of an ounce for adults in New Hampshire. And I think is it 21 and up or 18 and up? I forget. But you can do your own research on that. But it's great news. We're seeing progress. Obviously, New Hampshire is still behind the ball compared to the rest of the 9 states that have already legalized it. But hopefully, we're going to see that shake out within the next year or two. Because in New Hampshire, the entire state house, including the governor, changes every 2 years. There's an election every 2 years. And so that very same governor who refuses to sign legalization but did sign Decrim, so he's a little better than the last one, he's now going to face re-election this fall. And hopefully he will lose to somebody who does support legalization, somebody who is sane enough to move ahead with that. The toll-free number here, 855-450-FREE like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. How does Obamacare affect restaurant menus? Well, you might be finding out soon enough. Johnson, you've got the story about that on the way. Plus, magic mushroom legalization is next. It's Free Talk Live.
I tried other brands, but I came back to my Sunshine.
For the best hot or cold pain relief, get the best. Get a Sunny Bay heating pad.
Sometimes life can be a pain in the neck or back or shoulder.
And the best relief for that pain is a Sunny Bay heating pad. Did you know that the American College of Physicians said that one of the best ways to treat muscle pain is heat therapy? Sunny Bay heating pads are handmade with high quality, can be used at home or at work, and have a lifetime 100% positive rating on both Amazon and Etsy.
Why take another pill?
Many people use our Sunny Bay heating pads alone and got rid of the neck pain.
Long distance travel or long hours in front of a computer can take its toll on your body.
See why our homegrown small business at sunny-bay.com has tried to help people just like you. Get your Sunny Bay heating pads at sunny-bay.com. That's sunny-bay.com or call 253-678-1361 for hot and cold therapy. sunny-bay.com.
In Survivor Max 2, School Bites, Max must scavenge through a wasteland swarming with the undead. Desperate to find the medicine he needs, he discovers a community of survivors at his former school. Has he finally found the safe haven he's been looking for, or will he discover that school bites? Look for Survivor Max on Facebook, read reviews on Amazon, and read Chapter 1 at survivormax.com.
The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Tuesday, May 8th, 2018. Silver is trading at $16.50 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,311 per ounce. Zencash is trading at $37, and the average price of Bitcoin is $9,113. Antiwar.com reports in a tweet on Monday afternoon, President Trump said he will announce his decision on the Iran nuclear deal in his May 12th ultimatum on Tuesday afternoon at 2 p.m. Though some officials have suggested Trump will likely withdraw from the deal, analysts appear split on what to expect. Trump has been sour on the Iran deal since before the election and demanded massive changes by May 12th to keep the U.S. in. European nations have offered a package of concessions to the U.S., though it's not clear what or whether it will be enough. Some analysts suggest Trump might sign one last waiver for sanctions relief obligated under the deal as a way of delaying the decision. In this case, Trump would likely continue to refuse to certify the deal either way, but not directly violate it with new sanctions. The price of oil has been rising in recent weeks, expecting the restoration of U.S. sanctions. Officials say that whether or not the sanctions are put back in place, their impact will be far less than the pre-2015 sanctions, since the other P5+1 nations remain committed to the nuclear deal. For over 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. And as a Bitcoin-preferred business, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts Brokerage today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports the U.S. Department of Treasury placed sanctions on 3 Venezuelans and 20 entities related to drug trafficking on Monday. Vice President Mike Pence announced the sanctions during a speech at the Organization of American States in Washington, D.C., describing the subjects as narcotic kingpins with direct ties to Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro's regime. Pence says, "We have frozen their assets, blocked their access to our nation so they can no longer poison our people with their deadly drugs." The Treasury Department's Office of Foreign Asset Control said it identified Venezuela national Pedro Luis Martinez Oliveras as a significant foreign narcotics trafficker pursuant to the Foreign Narcotics Kingpin Designation Act. He's alleged to have exploited his position as a former chief of financial intelligence for Venezuela's National Directorate of Intelligence and Prevention Services and accepted bribes for drug traffickers in Venezuela and Colombia to traffic narcotics through Venezuela's airspace, according to the report. Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin said this action is in response to Martin's extensive drug trafficking and money laundering activities. Systemic corruption and a collapse in the rule of law are defining features of Venezuela's government. We will deny corrupt Venezuelan regime officials access to the U.S. financial system as we work with international partners to support the Venezuelan people in a restoration of democracy and a return to prosperity. Walter Alexander del Nogal Marquez and Mario Antonio Rodriguez Espinoza are also designated for assisting Martin Oliveras in his international narcotics trafficking activities. The Department of Treasury further designated 20 companies, 16 of which were based in Venezuela and 4 in Panama, that were owned or controlled by the 3 men and allegedly used to launder illicit proceeds from narcotics trafficking and extortion. In January, the Treasury issued sanctions against 4 Venezuelan government officials accused of having association with corruption and repression. Are you looking for a cryptocurrency that has a focus on users and usability? Then look into Zencash. Zencash is the world's first private, distributed, and reliable platform for communications, transactions, and publishing. Zencash features global governance with inclusive decision-making, reliable funding for continuous improvements, and documentation and wallets in many languages that are available for Linux, Mac, Windows, and Android devices. Learn more at zencash.com. Reuters reports the FAA is investigating a collision between a Southwest Airlines aircraft and a truck at Baltimore Washington International Airport. The airline said Southwest Flight 6263 was pulling into the gate at BWI Sunday evening after flying from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, when a ground vehicle came into contact with the aircraft. Passengers got off the plane using stairs that were pulled up to the aircraft. There were no injuries reported to the 172 passengers aboard the plane. Michelle Agnew, spokeswoman for Southwest Airlines, said, "As with any event, we will conduct an internal investigation to learn what happened. It would be irresponsible to provide details until we've had time to thoroughly review the facts." This has been FPP Radio News. Online at fppradio.com.
Following reports of a newly posted job listing at area marketing firm Swenson Digital, The Onion spoke to a few of the 1,400 applicants who claim they are, quote, absolutely perfect for this position.
When I first saw this opening, I knew it was right for me. I've got tons of experience. I've got all the skills they're looking for.
If you look at my resume, I've got everything they're looking for. I mean, I've held similar jobs like this in the past. I'm extremely driven. I really think this is going to work out.
I've got a BA in marketing, which the posting said was recommended, so I think that'll bode really well for me. I've had plenty of team experience, and I think that would stand out. Not to mention the fact that I'm great with
web design and HTML, and pretty proficient with Excel and PowerPoint. Also, I think the culture is
very me, you know? I think I'd fit in well with the other employees. I also think I had a great
resume and cover letter. I think as soon as they interview me, they'll see I'm the perfect candidate.
As of this video's release, Swenson Digital had extended a job offer to an applicant who happens to be a friend of the boss's son.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live. You can take control of the airwaves here. Our number 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. Also, you can join us on Skype. The Skype username here is LRN.FM. With you in the studio tonight, it's Ian.
And Johnson.
Don't forget, you can also join us through our Discord on-air call-in line room over at discord.lrn.fm. Just hop on into that top room there, and we will see you at some point and join you, and then we will get you on the air with us, where you can talk about anything that you want to discuss. And coming up, I think we're going to play some of the audio from Silicon Valley, the television program on HBO that went 100% pro-crypto, I would say, on Sunday night's episode. After 5 seasons, this is Season 5, Episode 7. It's the penultimate one, meaning that the next one is the season closer for this season. And
That's a bummer.
Mike Judge himself actually directed this episode, which suggests that he considered it to be a very important episode, right? He didn't want anybody else to handle it.
Is it this one's episode 7 that you're talking about?
Episode 7, the one that just aired.
The one that just aired. Okay.
Mike Judge posted on Twitter that he directed that one himself, and that's because it's all about cryptocurrency. That's what the entire episode focuses on. And I have dubbed the audio, but I feel like I might have missed an F word, so I'm going to have to just I'll come back. We'll come back to this because we're not even halfway done with the show tonight. So we'll get back to Silicon Valley and what happened on HBO, because I also heard there was a different HBO show that talked about hardware wallets recently, which is really cool. So anyway, Ian and Johnson here, and you can join us. Johnson, did you have that story about the Obamacare regulations coming into play for restaurants?
I do.
Some sort of menu requirements being forced down the throats of chain restaurants?
Yeah, so this is a thing that's been being talked about for quite some time, but it's going into effect finally. So people have been talking about this for a little while, but now it's finally going into effect, and it's going to be ridiculous. So with the title of the article from fee.org is "That Silly Obamacare Rule That Forces Restaurants to Change Their Menus is About to Go into Effect. Within days, chain restaurants and grocery stores nationwide will have to comply with a high-cost, low-value Obamacare menu labeling mandate. Failure to comply with the law could land shop owners in prison for a year with a fine of up to $100,000. A huge burden. The controversial provision within the Affordable Care Act goes into effect on May 7th and requires food service businesses to with 20 or more locations to list nutritional information for food items on all signs and printed menus. Congress had many chances to amend the rule to make it more flexible and reduce the 14.5 million hours the Office of Management and Budget estimated it would take to comply with the mandate.
My God.
But despite bipartisan support, lawmakers failed. Pizza shops, for example, estimate that the rule would cost up to $5,000 annually per shop. Proponents of the rule say it's a simple way to give consumers information to make healthier food choices. It's so laughably stupid. I don't know, the pizza's unhealthy for me. I thought I was eating a salad.
Now, I remember years ago, Johnson, seeing calorie counts go up on like McDonald's or Burger King menus. Mm-hmm. Was that something that the market did on its own because people wanted to know those things? And
I don't know.
Those companies were like, all right, well, here's some information for you.
I don't know if it was mandated or if they just decided to do it because there was talk about this.
No, I'm talking about years ago. I mean, like maybe 2 decades ago.
Right. I don't know.
I remember seeing that happen. And it felt like, they were just advertising that because they thought it was competitive. But I don't know what they're talking about. I know that
there's cigarettes out there that have the warning information on the front and the back, like skull and crossbone, and the name of the brand is Tumors.
Yeah, those
and
are
people
all mandated.
smoke them.
Those are all
judiciously.
Yeah. So what you're saying is people are still going to make bad choices even with all this information. And does it say here?
What a shock.
Does it say here what information they're going to require? Because it seems like the more information they require, the more obtuse and ridiculous these menus are going to become. I mean, because normally when you go into a fast food place,
you could have someone standing in every McDonald's in the country screaming at the top of their lungs, "If you eat here, you will die."
Yeah, people will still
do it. People are going to be like, "Shut up, dude. I just want to eat my burger."
Way.
Yeah, God.
But what I was going to say is, if you're in one of these places, the menus are already packed. They're already showing you as much information as they possibly can on these menus without trying to overload you with information. And now it sounds like we're going to be an information overload here.
If you're ignorant of the lack of healthiness of eating at like major chain restaurants, you're probably have larger problems.
Yeah.
Than your diet. Like your education, for example. Putting this information out there is, first of all, in most cases, it's available for the people that actually want it.
That's true. They used to have
look it up online, ask for like the separate nutritional menu that they all have.
Right. Anybody that wants to know can ask at the register, and they'll hand it over to you.
It doesn't have to be on every menu and sign.
Apparently now it does.
Apparently now it does.
But only for chains with over 20 locations.
Right.
So if you've got some really unhealthy stuff at a smaller chain, no problem, right?
Essentially, what the real purpose of this law is, if you can read between the lines of government and you're not an idiot, you realize that the reason why this law is put into place is to prevent chains that are under 20 from becoming more than 20.
Because then they'll have to
lobbyists from larger chains wanted to drive out competition. This has nothing to do with protecting consumers. If you believe that, you are a moron.
So you're saying that this was actually created by like McDonald's or Burger King, these mega chains, that they want to see this happen?
I don't have direct proof, but if I were to go looking for it, I would find it probably immediately.
What you're talking about is the idea of regulatory capture, where mega corporations tend to end up with, writing these regulations in the first place and putting them in front of the very agents who, are in the government that they're buddies with.
In fact, actually, I'm going to guess without even, I haven't read this entire article.
Yeah.
I've skimmed it, and I'm like, oh, that looks good.
Yeah, sure.
I'm going to guess that I probably won't have to exit this article. This is fee. So probably by the end of this article, they're probably going to point out where that happened.
That's the Foundation for Economic Education fee. Yep.
So probably in this article, spoiler alert, just a guess, they're probably going to tell us, hey, this is where these restaurants lobbied for this to happen. Let's find out.
It wouldn't surprise me.
So let's find out. So again, $14.5 million hours. The Office budget of Management and Budget estimated. Again, pizza shops.
You got to pay somebody to update the menus. You got to pay physical menus. Some of them have the TV menus, so they got to update the graphics.
$5,000 annually per shop for pizza shops. I've been guessing actually that those TV menus, suddenly those are becoming a cost benefit. I bet those are easier to update.
You better believe they are.
Yeah,
can all be done remotely.
Yeah. Proponents say of the rule, it's a simple way to give consumers information to make healthier food choices, possibly aiding the effort to reduce obesity. The problem with this do-gooder notion is that forcing businesses to list exact calorie contents on all food items on physical menus will be impractical and hugely costly. Pizza shops, for example...
Not to mention ugly.
Yeah. Pizza shops, for example, estimate that the rule would cost up to $5,000 annually per shop, and that most of their consumers who order online or over the phone would never even see these physical menus. Even for those rare pizza eaters who actually walk into shops, the long list of options and nutrition data may not help reveal the total nutritional content of their order, since it'd be up to the consumer to do the math, calculating how each topping or customization, e.g. extra cheese or sauce, adds up. Many of the restaurants...
Pull out your calculator.
Yeah. Many of the restaurants have... And maybe that'll be the next regulation. You must provide a calorie calculator...
For all customers.
For all customers, where they can easily...
In case they don't have a cell phone on them.
And if your customers don't do math, you must provide funding to educational programs that will educate them into how to do this. Your company must pay.
All right, so to anybody listening in our Discord chat, I want to go poke around and see if I can find something, because this was supposed to go into effect yesterday, so maybe somebody has taken a photograph of what some of these new menus look like. So I'm curious to see, how intrusive and awful this actually is. There's more coming up here, 855, 450, free like freedom. You can join us here on Free Talk Live.
Mother's Day sneaks up and we hit the panic button. We get suckered into online flower giants pitching $19.99 flowers that end up costing $60. Or we grab last-minute produce department flowers that smell oddly like green onions. That tells Mom you don't care enough to send flowers from the Books. That's short for bouquet, and they're booking awesome. Books flowers are as unique and special as your mom. They're freshly cut from Books farms and delivered straight to your mom, so they last weeks, not days. Books even has farms located on the side of a volcano that produce flowers so gorgeous Mom will post pics of them and brag about you. And because Books cuts out the middleman, you'll get amazingly fresh flowers at an amazing price. Show Mom how much you care. Send her artisan designed flowers from the Books. Order today and get an extra 15% off when you enter code FTL. That's BOUQS.com. And remember to enter FTL to save an extra 15%. That's Books.com, BOUQS.com. And remember, code FTL saves an extra 15%.
The Bitcoin.com wallet is a simple and powerful, full-featured wallet that allows you to send and receive Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Core with anyone, anywhere in the world. It supports both single and multi-signature wallets and is available in multiple languages. Use the Bitcoin.com wallet to buy, send, store, and receive both Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Core. Learn more at wallet.bitcoin.com.
Zencash is an end-to-end encrypted system with zero-knowledge technology over which communications, data, or value can be securely transmitted and stored. With over 7,500 secure nodes, Zencash has one of the most distributed node systems of any cryptocurrency. Zencash is a platform for cryptocurrency and communications built by voluntarists for voluntarists, with the ideas of voluntary interaction being written into the white paper no less than half a dozen times. Learn more at Zencash.com. That's Zencash.com.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm. Did you know you can watch Free Talk Live during our live show 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cams at cam.freetalklive.com? Plus, you can chat with other listeners while you watch, all totally free. Now that our live video stream is hosted by YouTube, our video archives will be online even faster, so be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com.
I love My Magic Mud. I drink a lot of coffee. I had stains on my teeth. Then I found My Magic Mud, and I was told it would remove stains. So I paid attention when I brushed the first time. My Magic Mud is black tooth powder, and the difference it made in my teeth in one application was noticeable. With 4, my teeth were as white as you normal folks out there. Please go to mymagicmud.com and buy a jar. There's 150 applications for $25. You can use Bitcoin, mymagicmud.com.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
This is Free Talk Live. Joining you here tonight, it's Ian
and Johnson.
The toll-free number for you is 855-450, free like freedom. Looks like some new regulations went into effect yesterday requiring any restaurants with more than 20 or more locations to put calorie counts on all of their menus. And the way it was described initially, it sounded like it was going to be more than just calorie counts, but apparently it's just calorie counts. So they're not listing fat content, they're not listing cholesterol, they're not listing any other details about these products on their menus, but calorie counts are required. And one of the things you said during the break was, how useful is this?
If you're lucky enough to be watching, was it cam.freetalklive.com?
That
you
is
could have been
one place,
watching me chowing on a vegetarian burrito from.
Oh, that's right. You went vegetarian recently.
Well, not completely.
Okay.
So, for example, a couple nights ago, I had some sushi, but I'm
a vegetarian.
Pescatarian, I guess that would be. Yeah, I probably haven't had any other kind of meat for a couple months.
Okay. Do you feel different?
Yes.
Really?
Oh yeah,
like
definitely. Better. Yeah, because largely what I'm doing and is in terms of the calories that I'm taking in, I'm attempting to take in massive amounts of fiber.
I see.
Fiber and micronutrients in general. So yeah, it's definitely I'm attempting to just sort of heal my body a little bit. I probably should try some fasting, but I haven't really been able to do that quite yet. There are some other things that I need to cut out of my diet. Diet soda would be a really good example. Cutting back on salt massively. But step at a time.
Yeah, sure.
I did a low carb diet for a very, very long time, and at the end of eating low carb for several years and working out 5 times a week and losing 80, probably total, if you would count over a longer period of time, well over 100 pounds. At the end of that, I was diagnosed with diabetes and had some massive thyroid
you
thing.
had serious problems.
So I have led myself to kind of question the nutritional optimization, shall we say, of eating low carb. And
it's hard to say, what's the answer, right? Because it seems like different things work for different people as far as nutrition and all that.
I was eating veggies and stuff like that when I was eating low carb and eating, no sugar. And for a while I was on low carb, I had cut out diet soda and stuff too. And I wonder, though, about the overall nutritional content of it as a diet. There's definitely fat in the diet. You can get energy. You can definitely get your prerequisite calories. You're getting protein for sure. Way more protein than you need if you're eating, meat every single day for, the bulk or majority of multiple meals. So,
and which diet is this you're talking about?
Low carb.
Low carb. Okay.
Low carb. And, I got to, as I've been doing more, more and more food research, which I've done a whole lot, I just come to think of, is the human diet anything like, what our natural closest relative would be, which would be an ape in nature, and they eat primarily vegetables and fruit.
How useful to you? I mean, you've done a lot of research. How useful to you is a calorie count?
Somewhat, but not entirely. I mean, it's. I don't know. Actually, I don't even know if somewhat is even accurate, because all calories are not equal. And
really?
It's kind of ridiculous to think about it. I mean, so there's a couple of movies that came out in 2014 that I think are really, really worth watching. I mean, almost fun. Well, I sent you a clip actually from this movie called Fed Up, which talks specifically about calories. And if you take into account 160 calories of, say, almonds versus 160 calories of soda,
Should I play this clip?
Sure, yeah, but go ahead and play that clip.
All right, so they're coming up here on YouTube here.
Why is a calorie not a calorie? All right, let's give you an example. Let's take an easy one. Let's take almonds. If you consume 160 calories in almonds, because of the fiber in the almonds, the food is not going to get absorbed immediately. So your blood sugar rise is going to be a lot lower. It's going to be for longer. So what's the opposite of the almond? Well, the opposite of the almond would be a soft drink. Because there's no fiber, they get absorbed straight through the portal system to the liver. The liver gets this big sugar rush. And when your liver gets that onslaught, it has no choice but to turn it into fat immediately. So 160 calories in almonds or 160 calories in soda? You tell me which is better.
Interesting.
So this guy, Robert Lustig, he became kind of well known. He's done some presentations about how sugar acts on the body. He teaches at some California university.
Was that the guy who was talking?
Yeah, that was the guy who was talking, Dr. Robert Lustig. He's done some presentations about sugar in specific and how it acts like alcohol. I mean, essentially, it's almost functionally identical in terms of its addictive qualities and the effects that it has on the body.
It can turn to fat.
Other than the fact that it's not deleterious on your brain, right? It doesn't cause you, altered state of consciousness. Sugar doesn't, but alcohol does. But
I don't know, man. Look at them little kids on sugar highs.
Oh, well, yeah, okay. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, over longer term, it's just not as immediate or pronounced, right? But although debatable, I actually I made a Facebook post recently based on some things that I've been reading about saying about sugar and obesity and actually aggressive and violent behavior. And if you look at a map of where obesity is in the country for numbers, that's much more reported than obviously violent crime statistics are, because local governments are obviously trying to hide those as much as possible.
Yeah.
But you can see a massive correlation. I mean, correlation doesn't equal causation, but it's certainly interesting. But there's another movie out there called That Sugar Film, which is available, I think, if you're Amazon Prime, you can watch that for free. But that movie is also interesting. Again, it just talks about sugar in specific, and soda and all these different things. And it's interesting because, again, a calorie is not all calories are created equal. I mean, you can eat a huge amount of broccoli or a burger, right, for example, and they might have the same amount of calories, but which one's going to leave you feeling fuller, right? And people talk about, protein, you need protein in your diet. Well, there's more protein in broccoli than there is in steak.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Huh.
So you just have to eat a whole ton of it, right? You would have to eat a lot of it to get well, that's not a bad thing, right?
I wouldn't think so.
I mean, you have to eat a lot more of something, so you're going to generally get fuller. The thing that I don't think a lot of people understand is transit times in food. And that transit times is the time from which you
digestion. Is that for
eat
digestion?
Something? Well, yeah, it's digestion, but it's also the feeling of satiety. How soon are you going to feel full after you eat it?
Right.
And so, obviously things like fruit and vegetables have a longer time of transit time before you feel full after you eat them. So, but that time also lasts a whole lot longer. So if you eat
when you feel full, it lasts longer.
Yeah, you will feel full for a longer period of time once you do that. I mean, if you, and you can also eat a whole hell of a lot of it. But Yeah, calories not created equal. So it's kind of ridiculous to say that these calorie counts
are meaningful.
That they're meaningful. That that's not going to really necessarily help people fix their diets if they're eating the wrong things. Or
I'm
if
looking
eating
at
sugar-packed foods.
At some of these menus. So I went to look to see, what do the menus look like now? In fact, you said you were just in Chipotle today.
Sure.
So let's talk about, what is the result of this new regulation that's gone into effect on basically all chain restaurants over 20 locations. More coming up on Free Talk Live.
This is Fred.
Hi, I'm Fred.
Fred's a repeater.
I tend to repeat.
Fred has a business.
I do have a business.
And a problem. Fred repeats the same tired advertising over and over, and now it doesn't work.
Over and over.
But Fred is about to see a vision.
I'm seeing a vision.
Advertising on the Genesis Communications Network is the smart way for Fred to reach his potential customers with the most affordable national advertising rates, period. Get started today with GCN, the Genesis Communications Network. Just email advertise@gcnlive.com.
You have been lied to, generation after generation, time after time after time.
If you follow the money, then you understand why America's in the condition it's in.
You created the Federal Reserve in 1913 through lies. You create 9/11. Through 9/11, you're fighting a war on terror, and now all of a sudden you go into Iraq, which was another lie.
This book will open people's eyes. Pre-order now at killingunclesambook.com. killingunclesambook.com.
Hi, I'm Derek J. I don't want a politician to represent me. To me, government is the idea that one group of people can coerce everyone to comply with an edict or face increasing punishments up to and including death. Despite perhaps the most noble of intentions, the best government services are a far cry from what could be provided for by voluntary interactions. Besides, the people who call themselves the government wage wars and put peaceful people in jail for crimes involving no victims. If Starbucks used some of its money to drop bombs, I wouldn't shop there. So why would I support the American empire? The empire does not require my consent.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. That's victimlesscrimespree.com. Ross Ulbricht was convicted in early 2015 of running the infamous Silk Road Underground Market. The Silk Road was a gift to humanity and helped reduce the harms brought on by drug prohibition. For this good deed, Ross has been sentenced to life in prison with no possibility of parole. Now, an appeal is Ross's only chance, and he needs your support. Please visit freeross.org, where you can contribute via various methods, including Bitcoin. Visit freeross.org. That's freeross.org. Did you know we've taken our LRN.FM telephone listen line to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on demand line? Now you can call 712-770-8447 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed. And you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long distance fees may apply. Just dial 712-770-8447 and choose from the menu. 712-770-8447.
Free Press Publications is an independent, alternative media and publishing company founded in June 2009 with the mission of ensuring a free press for the freedom movement and is committed to spreading the message of peace, freedom, love, and liberty. FPP also gives new authors an avenue for publishing freedom-oriented material. FPP brings you daily news and commentary on the website fpp.cc, as well as a daily 5-minute newscast, FPP Radio News, and weekly news, views, and commentary in the FPP Freedom Minute and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio at fppradio.com, and the monthly newspaper FPP News at news.fpp.cc. Find FPP online at fpp.cc. That's fpp.cc, as in Creative Commons.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. You dial toll-free to join us here at Free Talk Live, where you can take control of the airwaves and bring up whatever you want. We're talking about the new menu requirements that went into effect yesterday across basically all of the United States. The FDA, via the Obamacare, so-called Affordable Care Act, this has finally been implemented now under the Trump administration, where restaurants will be forced by the threat of violence, which is the way the government does everything, to put calorie counts on their menus. And Johnson, as you pointed out here, that's not really even that useful of a piece of information,
right?
Because the difference between a 160 calories of almonds and 160 calories of soda is very, very different as far as how it's digested.
Especially since also people might be on different types of diets. Some people might be watching carbs. Some people might be watching fat. You never know what people are necessarily looking for. Calories are not necessarily the only thing to be looking out for.
And how many more numbers do people really need to see on a menu, which is already getting cluttered and confusing? We'll talk a little bit more about that, but I do want to let you know about Bouqs flowers. B-O-U-Q-S. Bouqs stands for bouquets, and these flowers are bouquing awesome. They are as unique and special as your mom. That's right, Mother's Day coming up fast. Freshly cut from Bouqs Farms and delivered straight to your mom, so they last weeks, not days. You go to Bouqs.com, B-O-U-Q-S. You order yours today. You can get an extra 15% off when you use code FTL, like Free Talk Live. B-O-U-Q-S, Bouqs.com, code FTL to save 15% as you roll up here on Mother's Day this coming weekend. So coming up, we're going to talk about Silicon Valley and what they said about cryptocurrency on the air tonight. But I was just curious, with this news about the menus being forced to be changed, a lot of businesses, by the way, had already had calorie counts added to their menus. Now, whether that was in advanced preparation of this happening or just something that they felt that like they should do to be competitive, now it's a mandate. Now every single restaurant and I believe bars also have to put calorie contents, according to what I was reading. So alcoholic drinks have to have calorie contents listed next to them now. So menus for fast food, menus for any restaurant chain that's got 20 locations or more, and presumably bars that have 20 locations or more. I don't know what all the details are here, but at the very least, they're going to have to put calorie counts on the menu. I'm not sure what the regulations are surrounding that. I'm looking at a picture here that I searched for on Google showing at least one menu at a place called The Bistro. And you can see the calorie counts are basically right next to the prices. Now they're in a different font, or not font, but a different color font.
Right.
And so there's like maybe a more light gray for the calories, and then a black price for the actual price. But I gotta say, having
what if there are like size requirements? Like, could you put the calories really, really small?
The ones that I've seen so far seem to be the same size.
Right.
So I don't know. There probably are some requirements, I imagine, in the regulations. But if you want to give us some feedback, maybe you work in fast food or you work in restaurants in a chain, and you want to comment on this, the toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE like freedom, 855-450-3733. But the point I wanted to make on this was, as somebody who's worked with customers in a retail environment, now I've not done fast food, but I've done retail, and so I know how just blissfully ignorant customers can be. Now, this isn't necessarily their fault, although it kind of is, but it's just sort of the way customers are. When a customer comes into a place, they want their experience to be easy. They don't want to have to really think too hard about the things that they want. They're there for a certain reason in a lot of cases. Most people don't go to a store to just kind of browse around, right? They're going to a store, especially to a restaurant, because they have a goal in mind. They have a thing they want. They want to get a hamburger. Or they want to, at the very least, satiate their hunger. Maybe they don't know what they want, but they know there's food in that place, and they're going to get something to eat. In the case of retail, they probably have a list of things they need to acquire, and they go in there and they look for those things. And, it's always interesting watching how customers react to things. Like, one of the biggest questions I always got when I worked at Kmart down in Florida, which I worked there for like 4 years, was, where's the bathroom? Number one question across the board. And, of course, I'd always point the customer down the hall to the big restroom sign that was, hanging very obviously down, the very same aisle that they were talking to me on. Because I was at the back of the store working the electronics department, and that same back aisle of the store is the one that leads you to the bathroom with a huge restrooms sign. But the customers didn't see it. It didn't matter that the sign was there. It was like they had blinders on and they could not see that it was there. And I've done this myself. I've been in a store as a customer, been unable to, where's the restroom? Oh, it's right there under that restroom sign that I didn't see. So it's not like I'm stupid, but there's a certain level of kind of customer ignorance that goes into play.
Well, there's also, you're trying to be ad blind, to different advertisements. And
that
stuff
could
like
be
that.
a reason for
They
it,
do
sure.
everything the same way. It's
but
like,
I'm looking for the restroom.
Right.
And I still didn't see the sign.
Right.
And these people were as well. And so that's why I'm saying on these signage changes that they have, you're seeing calorie counts right next to prices. On another sign, I saw the calorie count right below the price.
Right.
And so it's going to happen that customers are going to come in here, and let me pull up one of the ones that I found, again, for a company called The Bistro, where it was like, the pricing is different from one to the next, and I can't find it right now, but I had it earlier. Anyway, so if it's like 579 calories and $7.79, the customer's going to be like, wait, you rang that up wrong. That's supposed to be $5.79. It's right there on the sign. And, of course, the clerk's going to say, oh, no. That's the calorie count. See, it says CAL next to it?
Right.
That means it's calories.
Right.
But they're going to be confused. Even though it's, might be clear to us looking at it, and you might be like, oh, customers, how could you not know? They're not going to know. They're going to be like, well,
my
you're
home
trying
country
to
is
charge me more.
Caledonia. You don't accept my currency?
Right, yeah, some sort of foreign currency, right? Or that's Canadian money or something like that. So that's the kind of stuff that is going to happen at the register. That's my prediction, and I bet you there's people out there in food service who've already had this happen after their restaurants implemented this early.
On a side note, I just had this thought rattling around in my brain here. As you said, a customer's goal might be to go in and satiate their hunger. I always find that very weird that the word is, that you would satiate your hunger with a feeling of satiety. It's not... You can't say the word anymore how it really should be pronounced, because if it's satiate, then it should be it's not
we
satiety.
Can't say that word.
We'll just leave it there. Anyway, so many restaurants here have already found tech-forward ways to give consumers nutrition data in ways that they can actually use. For example, Domino's Pizza has created the Calometer, an online tool which tallies the nutritional content of an individual order of pizza based on size and toppings. Easy, right? But online tools don't satisfy the new rule. The shops still have to list nutrition content for all menu items.
And by that, they mean calorie content. Nothing else.
Yeah, nothing else. This includes grocery store buffets with regularly rotating choices, a requirement the Food Marketing Institute, a trade organization, estimates will cost grocery stores up to $1 billion in the first year. It could have been changed, but it wasn't. Congress considered numerous proposals to add some flexibility to the rule, like the Common Sense Nutrition Disclosure Act, H.R. 2017, introduced by Representatives Kathy McMorris Rogers, a Republican from Washington, and Loretta Sanchez, a Democrat from California, which was approved by the House in 2017. But none made it to the president's desk. Congress's inability to enact sensible laws is concerning enough, but more worrisome is that nobody who voted for the Obamacare Act considered how the rule might work in the real world when they buried it in the Affordable Care Act.
Why should they care? They don't have to obey it.
Right. They probably didn't read it in the first place, guys. Research into similar efforts indicates that instead of helping people eat fewer calories, it could actually have the opposite effect. Surprise! A government plan works exactly the opposite way intended.
I want to know more about that. I hope they tell us more about how listing the calorie counts would have the opposite of the intended effect. Because that's typical with government, where they have unintended consequences for their various different government programs and rules. So we'll talk more. There's more from FEE. Is that right?
Yes, there is.
The Foundation for Economic Education. More on these menu changes mandated across the United States. Went into effect yesterday on restaurant chains with at least 20 locations. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. If you want to join us, maybe, again, you work in the hospitality business and you've had to deal with this. 855-450-3733. You can take control of the airwaves. Plus, coming up, Silicon Valley and cryptocurrency.
The Bitcoin.com wallet is a simple and powerful, full-featured wallet that allows you to send and receive Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Core with anyone, anywhere in the world. It supports both single and multi-signature wallets and is available in multiple languages. The Bitcoin.com wallet is available on Windows, Linux, Mac, Android, and iOS devices. Learn more at wallet.bitcoin.com.
What's more profitable, running your business or doing bookkeeping? Doing your business, of course, but you want to keep your books so that you can maximize your tax savings, right? What if I told you that there's a person that's a bookkeeper, accountant, and law school graduate that's also a hardcore libertarian?
My name is Melanie Johnson, and I hate the state. I will aggressively help you to minimize your tax exposure and maximize profits, all while staying within the law.
Melanie's your best choice for your taxes and bookkeeping needs. Go to tax.freetalklive.com and check out our website, tax.freetalklive.com.
Want revenge on the common housefly? Well, after 10,000 years, someone has finally come up with a better way. The Bug Assault, a miniaturized shotgun, which utilizes ordinary table salt as ammunition. Non-toxic and no batteries required. So much fun, you'll forget you have a wife and kids. $39.95 and free economy shipping. Use discount code GCN and get an extra 10% off your purchase at bugassault.com. Fire your fly swatter. Get your Bug Assault today.
Fellow Patriots, my name is Todd Savage, founder of BlackRifleRealEstate.com. Like you, I was a prisoner of the alt-left sanctuary state until one day I chose to lead my family to freedom. Today we live on a sustainable 20-acre homestead where we shoot, hunt, garden, and homeschool our children without the tyranny of the nanny state looking over us. If you're ready to flee the city to the freedom of Idaho or Montana, our Black Rifle Real Estate team is here to help. Go to BlackRifleRealEstate.com. That's BlackRifleRealEstate.com.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live, you dial toll free. If you want to join us on the radio here, we're talking about new regulations gone into effect that affect basically any business in the restaurant world that has more than 20 locations, or 20 or more. And Johnson, you've got the story from the Foundation for Economic Education. We're going to continue with that in a moment, but I do want to let you know about Zencash. We love cryptocurrency. We're going to talk a little bit about Silicon Valley and what they did on Sunday night with their show on HBO, which was awesome. But cryptocurrency, as the character will say in Silicon Valley, Guilfoyle, is here to stay. Whether Bitcoin survives or dies is immaterial because there are hundreds of other options out there. In fact, over 1,500 other cryptocurrency choices in the marketplace. Most of them aren't really worth talking about. But Zencash is. You go to zencash.com, you can learn what makes Zencash so great. It's not just the fact that they've got some of the best technology, like zero-knowledge anonymity. So if you're into privacy, you really need to know about Zencash. But also the foundational philosophy behind the coin and the creators of it. It was made by voluntarists, people who believe in consensual activity between human beings. That's the viewpoint on, I would say, that most of the hosts of this show hold. And so that's one of the reasons why a lot of us are big fans of Zencash. They're also very secure. There's over 11,000 secure nodes in the Zencash network, which means it's one of the most secure networks of any cryptocurrency out there. More so even, there are more secure nodes on Zencash than there are full nodes of Bitcoin, as I understand it. So go to zencash.com to learn more about this cryptocurrency that is relatively new. It started in 2017. Zencash with a Z, zencash.com. As we continue here, Johnson, you're sharing a story from Foundation for Economic Education. Yesterday, new regulations went into effect, thanks to Obamacare, apparently, that require all restaurants with more than 20 locations to put calorie counts on every menu item.
I should also add that I misspoke during the last segment there about I called the time between eating, I guess, when food first hits your mouth and your stomach, to feeling of satiety, to, I think I called that transit time, and that's not really what transit time is.
Okay.
But transit time, the transit time of different foods will have generally a large impact on how full or how quickly you gain that feeling of satiety from the transit time.
Like
transit time
in,
is
all the way to out, like
exactly
from your mouth to the other
end. I was gonna say hold a hole.
Okay.
In to out. That is the complete definition of transit time. But because foods that move slower through your system also tend to be slower to cause you to feel full.
Gotcha.
Generally, I mean, different people also process foods differently, so and I'm also not in any way any kind of medical professional, so
no, but you know more than I do. So what else is there to say about this?
Okay, so if Congress wants to enact laws aimed at improving public health, they should consider whether their actions won't backfire in terms of consumer behavior. Overall, studies conducted in cities that already instituted similar menu requirements, like New York City and Philadelphia, find that nutritional disclosure has no appreciable changes on consumer behavior.
It just increases confusion then.
Yeah. One study commissioned by New York City found that the effect varied by chains. In some shops, consumers did order lower calorie meals. However, in some shops, like Subway restaurant chain, the labeling actually correlated with consumers increasing the calorie content in their meals, perhaps in an effort to maximize their dollar-to-calorie spending. The inclination...
I got to admit, Johnson, I have seen... when you mentioned Subway, I remember that, they've got that there. And I remember thinking, I've seen some of these things in restaurants before, and I've thought, I'm hungry. More calories would be good for me, right? Like, because more calories means you're going to be more full.
Nope.
No?
That's not how that works.
Okay.
The inclination to provide consumers with nutritional information is laudable, after all, for the health-conscious consumers. This data is essential in their decision-making process. However, if Congress or any other government agency wants to enact laws or institute regulations aimed at improving public health, they should consider whether their actions won't backfire, either in terms of consumer behavior or by hampering innovations that might prove more beneficial in the long term. At the very least, Congress should monitor the effects of new regulations like this menu labeling law and amend or repeal them if, and more likely when, they prove to be ineffective, burdensome, and harmful to the well-being of our nation.
But they won't do that. They'll just let it float out there forever.
And unfortunately, they didn't. I had made the prediction at the beginning of this article that they were going to talk about how lobbying by these, bigger chains created these regulations, but they didn't mention anything. I'm still pretty sure that it's there, but I'd have to look into it more.
So there's definitely evidence for what you're talking about in general, right? Where big corporations have control over government, they have influence, and they use their influence. Cigarette companies, of course, are a great example of this, where cigarette regulations in a lot of cases were endorsed by Philip Morris and the other, R.J. Reynolds and these mega cigarette manufacturers, because the big companies are more easily able to absorb the compliance costs than the small companies. But usually, you would think that if they were doing what you were saying they were doing, which is to say that they were secretly behind this, then why wouldn't they want it applied to everybody? Because if they really wanted to stick it to the little guy, then they'd make every single restaurant do this rather than just the chains. So you suspected that it was a target against smaller chains to prevent them from becoming larger chains, and that could be true, but it would seem like, why 20? Why not 15, 10, 5, anybody with 2 restaurants or whatever? They could have really gone after the little guy here, but the little guy is exempted in this case from the regulations.
Right. I'm seeing here, I found an article from foodpolitics.com about the menu stuff going national, and there's another article here about the label menuing, or the menu labeling, FDA draft guidance on how to do it. Why lobbying by everyone affected it, but particularly by trade groups for movie theaters, grocery stores, and pizza places. FDA Commissioner Scott Gottlieb issued a statement listing the agency's compromises for these groups. This doesn't sound like the original labeling of why it went into place in the first place, or why it went into effect in the first place. But I'm
Well, if you want to comment, you're welcome to join us here. Our number is 855-450-FREE like freedom. And also happening sort of simultaneously with this, Johnson, you've got states and local city governments passing sugar taxes, where, in addition to having calorie counts now mandated on every menu, now you're going to see sugar taxes going into places. And I forget which one. I just saw one of them.
Which it's not high sugar foods that are the problem. It's the fact that they're adding sugar. No, well, yeah, but they're adding sugar to everything. It's not high sugar amounts that are the problem. It's the problem is that you have sugar in things that have no necessary reason to have sugar in them. Like, why are they adding massive amounts of sugar to bread?
Okay.
Or to, every cereal on the planet. There are so many things where they're adding sugar because they're trying to make these foods more addictive. And those things are well below the limits of where they're going to need to have like a labeling requirement for the sugar or get sugar taxed.
So
there's no reason for it to be in there. Like wasabi peas. Why would you add sugar to that? But it's going to be in there.
Okay, so every sugar tax I've heard about is only on drinks, at least in the United States, Johnson. I have not yet heard about one on food products. Although there is news that, so I was wondering to myself, all right, which state put this into effect? Actually, the United Kingdom has introduced a sugar tax. So we'll see if we can find out more about that, if that's just going to be on drinks or if that is across the board on sugary foods as well. But at least here in the United States, I forget which cities have done it, but they put in these sugar taxes. What was it? Santa Fe, I think, was one of them, that because I know Sarah had called in about it previously. But she was, of course, very excited about it. And some of these sugar taxes have been as much as 1 to 2 cents per ounce. So on a 20-ounce soda or whatever, you're talking about a 20 to 40 cent tax on that. And so you're talking about, in some cases, doubling the cost of sodas. Like a 1-liter bottle of soda, there's a significant cost to the tax on a product like that. And so that's what we're seeing happen here in the United States. Of course, the whole idea is that all these regulations and taxes are going to make people healthier. And as you pointed out earlier, no, it's not.
Right.
What it's going to do is actually impoverish poor people more. Right. Because, I'm sure rich people drink soda, but when poor people are drinking soda and you double the cost of the soda, you've just made it harder for that poor person to pay their power bill at the end of the month.
Right.
Now, of course, you would argue that, they should pay their power bill first, but these are poor people because their financial habits in general aren't the
ultimately,
best.
rich people are still going to be paying for that, too, out of food stamps. Right?
Rich people? Oh, sure, I see what you're saying.
Right? Yeah. Because they're going to be paying more of the taxes, so they're going to be paying for the food stamps for people to buy the sugary drinks anyway.
That's true.
With free money from the state.
Great point.
Whee! Government still makes people fat.
We'll see if we can learn more about the UK sugar tax, just because I'm curious to know what it's going to affect here. It's definitely in the news.
According to the FDA, pizza is a vegetable.
And also, Silicon Valley is on the way here on Free Talk Live.
It's about time something new came along for better selling and buying online. And I found it.
What now, Marge?
It's buysellmakeoffer.com.
Never heard of it.
It's a brand new company. That's why you've never heard of it. It's the newest and best way to sell any products online. I did all the research.
Sell my car?
Yes.
Our home?
Yep.
My golf bag?
Your golf clubs. All of them.
How about your purse collection hoard?
Hey, now.
You said any product.
Right. I did. We get 30 days free.
Really?
Packages starting from only $9.95. And buysellmakeoffer.com will never charge item fees ever. Never. And this is cool. Listen to this. You can even use Skype or video to show your items.
That's cool.
Yes. All we have to do is go to the website, sign up, and then load our stuff to sell. I love this site.
Buysellmakeoffer.com.
Buysellmakeoffer.com. You got it?
Buysellmakeoffer.com.
Buysellmakeoffer.com. Better selling, better buying.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get 1 free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Tuesday, May 8th, 2018. Silver is trading at $16.50 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,311 per ounce. Zencash is trading at $37, and the average price of Bitcoin is $9,113. Antiwar.com reports in a tweet on Monday afternoon, President Trump said he will announce his decision on the Iran nuclear deal in his May 12th ultimatum on Tuesday afternoon at 2 p.m. Though some officials have suggested Trump will likely withdraw from the deal, analysts appear split on what to expect. Trump has been sour on the Iran deal since before the election and demanded massive changes by May 12th to keep the U.S. in. European nations have offered a package of concessions to the U.S., though it's not clear what or whether it will be enough. Some analysts suggest Trump might sign one last waiver for sanctions relief obligated under the deal as a way of delaying the decision. In this case, Trump would likely continue to refuse to certify the deal either way, but not directly violate it with new sanctions. The price of oil has been rising in recent weeks, expecting the restoration of U.S. sanctions. Officials say that whether or not the sanctions are put back in place, their impact will be far less than the pre-2015 sanctions, since the other P5+1 nations remain committed to the nuclear deal. For over 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. And as a Bitcoin-preferred business, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts Brokerage today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports the U.S. Department of Treasury placed sanctions on 3 Venezuelans and 20 entities related to drug trafficking on Monday. Vice President Mike Pence announced the sanctions during a speech at the Organization of American States in Washington, D.C., describing the subjects as narcotic kingpins with direct ties to Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro's regime. Pence says, "We have frozen their assets, blocked their access to our nation so they can no longer poison our people with their deadly drugs." The Treasury Department's Office of Foreign Asset Control said it identified classified Venezuelan national Pedro Luis Martinez Oliveras as a significant foreign narcotics trafficker pursuant to the Foreign Narcotics Kingpin Designation Act. He's alleged to have exploited his position as a former chief of financial intelligence for Venezuela's National Directorate of Intelligence and Prevention Services and accepted bribes for drug traffickers in Venezuela and Colombia to traffic narcotics through Venezuela's airspace, according to the report. Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin said this action is in response to Martin's extensive drug trafficking and money laundering activities. Systemic corruption and a collapse in the rule of law are defining features of Venezuela's government. We will deny corrupt Venezuelan regime officials access to the U.S. financial system as we work with international partners to support the Venezuelan people in a restoration of democracy and a return to prosperity. Walter Alexander del Nogal Marquez and Mario Antonio Rodriguez Espinoza are also designated for assisting Martin Oliveras in his international narcotics trafficking activities. The Department of Treasury further designated 20 companies, 16 of which were based in Venezuela and 4 in Panama, that were owned or controlled by the 3 men and allegedly used to launder illicit proceeds from narcotics trafficking and extortion. In January, the Treasury issued sanctions against 4 Venezuelan government officials accused of having association with corruption and repression.
Are you looking for a cryptocurrency that has a focus on users and usability? Then look into Zencash. Zencash is the world's first private, distributed, and reliable platform for communications, transactions, and publishing. Zencash features global governance with inclusive decision-making, reliable funding for continuous improvements, and documentation and wallets in many languages that are available for Linux, Mac, Windows, and Android devices. Learn more at zencash.com.
Reuters reports the FAA is investigating a collision between a Southwest Airlines aircraft and a truck at Baltimore Washington International Airport. The airline said Southwest Flight 6263 was pulling into the gate at BWI Sunday evening after flying from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, when a ground vehicle came into contact with the aircraft. Passengers got off the plane using stairs that were pulled up to the aircraft. There were no injuries reported to the 172 passengers aboard the plane. Michelle Agnew, spokeswoman for Southwest Airlines, said, "As with any event, we will conduct an internal investigation to learn what happened. It would be irresponsible to provide details until we've had time to thoroughly review the facts." This has been FPP Radio News. Online at fppradio.com.
It's the Onion Radio News. Raccoon leaders call for the loosening of garbage can lids. This is Doyle Redland reporting. In a 4 a.m. speech at the group's annual Washington, D.C. convention this morning, North American Raccoon Federation President Bristletail called upon homeowners to loosen the lids of their garbage cans, providing the ring-tailed mammals with greater access to discarded food scraps during nocturnal scavenging.
Every time you seal a standard 30-gallon garbage can, as many as 6 raccoons are forced to go without their necessary daily supply of congealed baked beans, rancid cottage cheese chunks, and moldy cantaloupe rinds.
The 26-pound varmint closed his speech with a stern warning that without raccoons, possums could take over the world. Doyle Redland for the Onion Radio News, online at theonion.com.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live. You can take control of the airwaves and you can bring up anything that's on your mind. Our number here, 855-450-FREE, like freedom. Joining you tonight, it's Ian.
And Johnson.
855-450-3733. We were just talking about the sugar tax. And it was sort of in relation to a conversation we had last hour. Foundation for Economic Education publishing an article about new menu regulations going into place in the United States, forcing all chain restaurants and fast food chains with 20 stores or more to put calorie counts on their menus. And that led me to talking about the sugar tax, because one of the themes of last hour was, hey, you can put all the taxes and regulations on things as you want. It's not going to stop people from making bad choices as far as what they put in their bodies. Or is it? Because according to some of the people out there, those who are advocating the sugar tax, they say Mexico put a sugar tax into place recently, and they've had sugary drink sales drop According to the story here at The Sun over in the UK. And again, the UK just put into effect a sugar tax. And I was curious to know, is it going to be like the US-based sugar taxes that are just on soft drinks or sugary drinks, or is it going to be on actual like candy or other products that have sugar in them? And as of right now, it is like the U.S. Taxes where it's only applied to sugary drinks. According to the story at The Sun, the sugar tax was announced by former Chancellor George Osborne in his budget statement in 2016. The money raised will go to the Department for Education. The new levy is being put on drink companies, which will be taxed according to how much sugar is in their beverages. 2 categories of taxation are set to come into force. One relates to the total sugar content on drinks with more than 5 grams per 100 milliliters, while a higher levy is imposed on drinks with 8 grams per 100 milliliters or more. The sugar tax came into effect April 6th, so it's been going for about a month in the UK, and hopes of a U-turn by Prime Minister Theresa May were dashed. The tax is estimated to raise around £520 million, which will be used to fund sports in primary schools. How much will drinks be increasing, though? Of course, it's the big question, right? What are we talking about as far as increased prices? They say a can of regular Coke, costing it around 70p, which is that pence? It's not pounds because it's a different 70p.
Pence, yeah.
Right? 70 pence will be slapped with an 8 pence increase. So, more than 10%. While the cost of a 1.75 milliliter bottle of Coke would increase from roughly 1.75 milliliter. That can't be right. That would be awfully small, wouldn't it? 1.75 milliliter?
Yeah.
Maybe they mean 1.75 liter. But anyway, they say that bottle of Coke would increase from roughly 1.25 pounds to 1.49 pounds. Scott's favorite Learn Brew will face a similar increase to Coke, along with Red Bull, Dr. Pepper, and Old Jamaica Ginger Beer. The company behind the Iru Brew in January announced they would be promoting or producing a new sweetener-laced version of the fizzy favorite, which will see sugar content slashed by 54%. So there you go, Johnson. That's good for people, right? Let's put more artificial sweeteners in the soda, and then we'll just sell those. We'll just get rid of sugar-sweetened sodas entirely and have it go all artificial. That's healthy for people.
No. Not at all.
You mean NutraSweet and all the rest of that crap isn't actually good for you?
You could potentially argue maybe that they're healthier because of the lower calorie counts, but they still send signals to the brain that cause people to crave worse foods, potentially result in higher weight gain than even sugar sodas do, unless you're talking about high fructose corn syrup, which fructose is particularly evil. But, if you're having such high glycemic impact foods, at least with sugar, your brain is getting that signal that you should be full. Fructose doesn't necessarily send that signal immediately, and these diet sodas don't send that signal at all. And so what happens is your brain is still getting that signal that you've consumed something sweet and wants you to balance that out with, fat and salt and all these other things. And let's not forget the fact that all of these sodas are hugely packed with sodium, massively more than people should be consuming.
Now, to be clear, this applies to basically every drink with sugar in it. So obviously people are going to talk about sodas, but your coffee drinks from Starbucks, your Gatorades, your anything that's got sugar in it is going to get taxed. With a few exceptions, they are exempting pure fruit juice, which of course is incredibly
also a disaster.
Sweet. It's incredibly sweet.
It's also a nutritional disaster.
Drinks with high milk content will also be exempt due to their calcium content, they say. Sugar-free soft drinks, such as Diet Coke and Coca-Cola Zero, will not be subject to the tax. So now you're going to see different tiers at the grocery store where diet sodas are now going to cost less than the regular versions of these sodas.
And juice is not healthy either. There's more and more research to suggest that there is a correlative, effect between pancreatic cancer and people who juice and eat extremely high contents of fruit without the fiber that goes along with it, which is what happens when people who juice, is that they're getting these huge loads of fructose, and that is
nothing to digest.
overloading their liver and their pancreas. So they're not getting the fiber that slows down, like that clip that you played a little earlier, that slows down the impact of that sugar.
A little bit more here from the story at The Sun. Health campaigner and celebrity chef Jamie Oliver welcomed the move, speaking outside Parliament moments after it was announced.
Yeah, Jamie Oliver.
Other countries have introduced similar measures and have seen some
Nazi.
successes in reducing the drinking of fizzy drinks. Mexico, for instance, they say, introduced a 10% tax on sugary drinks in 2014 and saw a 12% reduction over the first year. Hungary brought in a tax on the drinks companies and saw a 40% decrease in the amount of sugar in the products. But again, they're just increasing the amount of fake sugar in the products,
Right.
the amount of the artificial sweeteners, which many people will say, causes cancer and things like that. I don't know what's true about them, but I know a lot of people are not fans of the artificial sweeteners. And Brits,
I just know that a lot of people are afraid of certain things. They're afraid of terrorism. They're afraid of, certain crimes. They're afraid of, the drug addicts. If you're really like a logical, sound person, the things that you should be most afraid of are cancer and heart disease. Because you're about 100, 1,000 times, I don't know the exact odds,
more likely to
experience one of these things in your lifetime if you aren't eating extremely healthily. So if you would need things to be afraid of or be concerned about, it's probably going to be more likely your saturated fat, salt, and sugar intake.
If you want to join us here, the toll-free number is 855-450-FREE like freedom. Let's talk to Mortified Penguin. He is in Virginia. You're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, guys.
Hey there.
I just wanted to switch the topic up a little bit. And you just brought up Zencash, and I wanted to talk about privacy coins.
Yeah, sure. Cryptocurrency.
Yeah. And so I'm familiar with a few, including Zencash. I'm a big fan of Zencash, as a matter of fact. And I know about Monero. I'm familiar with Verge a little bit. And what's your take on those and maybe some others in 2018 going forward?
What was our take on what? Those? Was that what you said?
On those and or any others.
Okay,
Those are the ones I know.
I mean, this is just, one guy's opinion. I'm no way an expert. I don't know anything about, what the future is going to hold. I can say that right now in 2018, Monero seems to be the privacy coin to beat. As far as the, the darknet markets, many of them have adopted Monero. So as goes the darknet markets, somewhat goes, the marketplace. I mean, when Bitcoin hit the darknet, that was a big promotional opportunity for Bitcoin, and now you've got Monero appearing on these darknet sites, and so I think that's really good for Monero. Is Monero the best technology? I have no idea. I think all these privacy coins will argue with one another, and their fans will argue with one another. The Zero Snarks is the best, or Ring Signatures is the best, or whatever. And I don't know enough about the technology to have an opinion about that, so I kind of have to trust in the geeks on that question. Johnson, if you want to weigh in, we're going to continue here. Mortified Penguin, stand by if you want to continue the discussion. Privacy coins. Is there a best one? I don't know. I'd recommend, if I'm going to recommend anything, and I'm not an investment advisor, you probably want to have more than one of these things.
If anybody wants to send me some privacy coin, I'll help you evaluate them.
There you go. Whoever you are. And so we'll continue here with more of your calls and thoughts. Welcome, 855-450-FREE plus Silicon Valley coming up.
What is it costing you in vet bills for that convenience of just pulling open a bag of
formulated, extruded, processed cereal bits that cost a ton of money anyways?
How do you feed your dog to derive not only energy, but a good coat, bright eyes, and a great attitude?
Come to Dynovite for help.
DINOVITE.com.
I found his raw meat diet on Dynovite.com. With just the raw meat and the eggs and the Dynovite and the Super Omega on top of it.
Try Super Omega Fish Oil.
Buy 2, get 1 free.
Ground beef, white rice, eggs, including the shells, and the Dynovite supplement, and then the Lico Chops.
Try Lico Chops. Buy 2, get 1 free.
It just balances out his body and his mind and his spirit.
Adding Dynovite to their diet has every single dog in my kennel looking better than they have ever looked.
Their skin is so much better now that they're on the raw diet. I don't even give them the kibble anymore.
DINOVITE.com.
Mother's Day sneaks up, and we hit the panic button. We get suckered into online flower giants pitching $19.99 flowers that end up costing $60. Or we grab last-minute produce department flowers that smell oddly like green onions. That tells Mom you didn't care enough to send flowers from the Bouqs. That's short for bouquets. And they're bouquing awesome. Bouqs flowers are as unique and special as your mom. They're freshly cut from Books Farms and delivered straight to your mom, so they last weeks, not days. Books even has farms located on the side of a volcano that produce flowers so gorgeous, Mom will post pics of them and brag about you. And because Books cut out the middlemen, you'll get amazingly fresh flowers at an amazing price. Show Mom how much you care. Send her artisan design flowers from the Books. Order today and get an extra 15% off when you enter FTL. That's BOUQS.com. And remember to enter FTL to save an extra 15%. Books.com. The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that tenth of a calorie it takes to click on something. facebook.freetalklive.com.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up at any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. You can bring up anything you want here. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. Straight from the Books Farms to your mom. What is the Books? It's short for bouquets, and they are bouquing awesome. In fact, they come from, some of them, some of their flowers come from farms on the side of a volcano. In fact, they've got farmers in different places of the world. You can learn more about who it is you're actually buying the flowers from when you purchase them through the Books for your mom, which, of course, Mother's Day is right around the corner. BOUQS.com. You cut out the middlemen with Books, and mom gets some amazingly fresh flowers, and you get an amazing price. Show your mom how much you care and send her artisan design flowers from the Books, BOUQS.com. If you use code FTL, you will save 15%. Books.com. As we continue here, we're talking about cryptocurrency. In fact, I do have the audio from Silicon Valley, some of the audio from Silicon Valley, the show that aired this, I believe it was Sunday night on HBO, and we're going to play some of that because they went, I would say 100% pro-crypto, even though they weren't necessarily pro-ICO. We'll get into that coming up here in moments, and we'll tell you what ICO means.
A lot of the writing and blogs and articles about the show are saying that they're lampooning cryptocurrency and the craze, but I don't know.
Like, we'll get into it. But we actually still have Mortified Penguin on the air with us here. And Penguin, you'd called in tonight about the privacy coins. Some of the top ones that are getting the most notoriety out there include Monero. There's, of course, Zencash, which we talk about regularly here on Free Talk Live. There's The Verge. And what else did you mention? Do we have Mortified Penguin still with us? Penguin going once? Penguin going twice? I don't know what happened to him. I'm going to put him on hold there, and we'll see if we can get him back on the air. But he'd asked us for our opinion on the privacy coins, and as I said, Monero seems to be the one to beat. They're the ones that are being implemented by the darknet marketplaces, and for those that aren't familiar, darknet markets are the online Tor-based marketplaces, Tor being the onion router. It's supposedly an anonymity system for the internet, although it seems like the government has been able to crack it in some way or shape or form in the past. But regardless, there are these online marketplaces where people will buy and sell drugs, for instance, as well as other illegal products and services, and they use cryptocurrencies. And these started back in 2011 when the Silk Road launched, and it was very popular until 2013 when Ross Ulbricht was arrested and accused of being Dread Pirate Roberts, who was the operator of the Silk Road. The government thought they were going to send a message. Well, the only message they sent was that there was a market opportunity because they arrested the Silk Road operators. That meant that a bunch of other operators who would have loved to have gotten into that business went ahead and got in and opened up a bunch of other darknet market sites, many of which have either been shut down by the federal government or did what they call an exit scam, where basically the market operates for a period of time and everybody starts to feel comfortable with it. They put their Bitcoin into it, and then they fold up shop in the middle of the night, and they take the Bitcoin and they run. Now, that's not to say those things can't happen with Monero. They certainly can. It would be even harder to trace because Monero is basically untraceable, and it's, a privacy coin. So anytime you're involved with darknet markets, your money's at risk, obviously. But the fact that they've embraced Monero, to me, is a real endorsement of Monero as, sort of the key privacy coin out there. But Johnson, have you done any research into privacy coins? Do you have a favorite?
I mean, probably Monero. I don't really know. Maybe Zencash. But I don't have any privacy coins because nobody's ever sent me any. So
that you would be willing to admit. Not that anyone could prove that you had privacy coins.
Sure, that's true. No one could prove one way or another whether or not I have privacy coins. I do accept them.
Sure.
At libertyminded.com, where you can buy a shirt that says I accept cryptocurrency.
Excellent.
But I'm telling you, you can believe me or not, I have not been paid yet in any privacy coins, which I have specifically been told by someone who holds privacy coins that I asked to pay me in Monero, said, no, I'd rather have Monero than your T-shirts, dude. And then proceeded to pay me in some other form of currency. I don't remember which one.
And, of course, Monero is also expensive. So that's one of the downsides. And I suspect Zencash probably doesn't have that problem. At least maybe not yet. I don't know.
Are you saying the transaction fee is expensive?
Yeah, dude.
Oh, really?
You're talking about $12 a transaction right now on Monero. So you're paying for privacy in that particular case. And that's true of privacy.
Big dinero for that Monero.
Yeah. And that tends to be true of privacy where, if you want privacy in your life, you've got to jump through some hoops. If you don't want people to know where you live, you might want to get a private mailbox set up and have your bills and things like that sent to that mailbox. There's certain things that you need to do if you want to protect your privacy. You want to have a phone that's not in your name, you're going to have to jump through some serious hoops in order to do that stuff. And that means that it costs you money. So privacy costs time and or money, usually one or the other or both of those things. So am I a big fan of Monero? I mean, I'm not a huge fan of it, but I think the fact that the darknet markets have endorsed it is a ringing endorsement of Monero. Would I love to see lower fees? Yeah, $12 to send a transaction. And so I'd be interested to see a comparison between the privacy coins. I've not looked for this. I suspect it exists. What are the differences between The Verge, Zencash, Monero? Is there one of them that actually is better at privacy than the others? Because I'm sure they all argue with one another. It's just that I'm not privy to those conversations. Oh, and I'd like to add this about Monero. One of the issues with Monero right now is there are some forks going on with Monero or some threats of some forks. I'm not sure what the current status of these are. I don't know if you've been following this at all, but there's like a Monero Classic now. So you remember how Ethereum forked from Ethereum into Ethereum Classic?
Apparently there's also a Sumo coin, which is also a fork of Monero.
There's like 3 or 4 or 7 or something. Like there's several different forks of Monero now. And I've not followed all the details on that. I find it a little overwhelming. And further, as if that weren't confusing enough, Johnson, if you were to go to the Monero website, you'll find that the most recent version of the software is like 0.11 or something like that. But they recently released 0.12 and then pulled it down So they released a whole new version, which is what started this whole forking of Monero conversation, because Monero was going to release a new version, and the people who supported the old version were saying, well, we're just going to keep going with the old version, so hard fork, now we've got 2 Moneros, and the new version got pulled. You can't go and get, as of the last time I looked at the site, which was last week or something, you could not go and get the version 12. The version 12 GUI for Linux wasn't working right for some people, and so that's probably why they pulled it down. But in order to get Monero working, I've had to cobble together different pieces of the software that no person with zero technical experience would be able to accomplish.
Right.
I was able to get it working, but it took me a couple of hours of just hammering away and trying different things. So Monero is in no way a user-friendly currency right now at all.
I've got a little list here of the different sort of things that make a privacy coin private in a little comparison chart. Mm-hmm. So on the comparison chart, there are things like hides sender address, hides recipient address, hides amount sent, private by default, no rich list, IP address hidden, and no trusted setup, and the number of full nodes online. And it compares each one of the currencies based on how many of those things are true. And Monero wins by far.
Monero wins, okay. Yeah. All right, more coming up here in moments. Your toll-free number if you want to join us, 855-450-FREE like freedom. Maybe if you want to share that in our Discord chat. That way some folks can take a look at that. We actually have a whole cryptocurrency room there. There's more coming up. This is Free Talk Live. Join us.
This is Dan Pilla. Do you owe the IRS money you can't pay? Are tax debts crippling you? I've defended people from the IRS for over 30 years. I've helped thousands, and I can help you too. I wrote the book on IRS settlement, and I'm telling you, there's no such thing as a hopeless case. Call 800-34-NO-TAX to finally get free of IRS debt. With the IRS's new programs, there's never been a better time to solve your problem. Call 800-34-NO-TAX. That's 800-34-NO-TAX, or my website, danpilla.com.
Want revenge on the common housefly? Well, after 10,000 years, someone has finally come up with a better way. The Bug Assault, a miniaturized shotgun, which utilizes ordinary table salt as ammunition. Non-toxic and no batteries required. So much fun, you'll forget you have a wife and kids. $39.95 and free economy shipping. Use discount code GCN and get an extra 10% off your purchase at bugassault.com. Fire your fly swatter. Get your Bug Assault today.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agristhosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agristhosting.com.
We've all heard about blockchain assets like Dogecoin, Ether, and Ripple. Bitcoin isn't the only player in the blockchain game any longer. And for those of us wondering how to get our hands on these digital assets, finally, there's a solution. Shapeshift.io allows you to buy and sell between your digital assets and Bitcoin instantly between your own digital wallets. I've used it with ease. Shapeshift.io. There's no account or email address needed. You send them the crypto you want to sell. They send back the crypto you want to buy. It's that easy. Shapeshift.io.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM. Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
Join the LRN.FM Discord for live chat 24/7 at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. If you want to join us, you are welcome. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE like freedom. We got the Silicon Valley clip coming up here. It's relatively short, but it's pretty awesome what they did with cryptocurrency on this weekend's episode. In the studio tonight, by the way, it's Ian
and Johnson.
Also, don't forget about $6 shirts. I was wearing mine yesterday. I don't have it on today, but $6 shirts. I had my Fifth Element $6 shirt on about the movie. There's a lot of great movie-related shirts that they have there at $6 shirts. Also, video games, sports, all kinds of different subjects. In fact, they've got some really funny and clever T-shirts that I think you're really going to enjoy. In fact, if you go to $6shirts.com, you'll see their gigantic selection. And by the way, it's a company run by libertarians, so that's even better. $6shirts.com. That's $6shirts.com, and you can use code FTL. You will save 10% off your order at $6shirts.com. And yes, they do accept Bitcoin over at $6 shirts. All right, so we're going back to the phones here. I think there were some issues before with Mortified Penguin. We'll let him roll back in here with some further thoughts. We were talking about privacy coins, and Johnson, you just pulled up a chart that looks at various different aspects of some of the privacy coins out there, some of the major ones, and it found that Monero seems to have the most aspects of what people should be looking for in a privacy coin. But Penguin, did you want to weigh in any further? Go ahead.
Actually, I pulled up one last night, but it was put out by Zencash, and of course it has Zencash having way more features than all the rest. But I think it depends on how you look at it, and they do have different protocols. But you touched on a couple of things with Monero, and that's the one I really was wondering about, because I was kind of big on Monero a couple months ago, and then some of the things, like last night, Brother Will specifically said that mentioned that thing about $12 transaction fees.
Yeah. And
when I heard that kind of raised a big red flag. That's a huge red flag for crypto with me. Tied transaction fees, that's like the killer, after the Bitcoin fiasco.
Well, but the difference between Monero and Bitcoin is Monero provides privacy and Bitcoin does not, right? So privacy is something that people are willing to pay for, obviously. And I don't know why the fees are the way they are with Monero. I've not done the research and to try to answer that question. It's just that's the way they are. Maybe some of the other...
I'm sure they haven't been. Yeah, I'm sure they haven't been always that high, though.
Yeah, I guess they probably are a little higher now than they were in the past. But that would be, there's charts out there that likely could show you that information. But ultimately, they're still the one to beat. I mean, even with $12 fees, that's the one that everybody's decided to, it seems like, use in the darknet markets, and that to me, that's really the most important metric as far as a privacy.
And it's not
coin.
user friendly. It's not user.
It's terrible at that.
Discord about the GUI. Because I was having a heck of a time, and then I got this build, and I should call on Friday and ask Chris. I got this build. I mean, it was on, I think, I don't think it was on GitHub, but it was somewhere. I'm a Linux beginner. I was kind of in over my head. I don't want to get a compromised build. I can't look at the code and tell what I'm doing.
Right.
But it worked for most things. But now I've pulled down. I don't think it's necessarily compatible anymore. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I agree with you. Monero seems to be in a very messy state right now, and it may be weak. It may be time for a competitor to rise up and eat some of its lunch. Mortified Penguin, thanks for the call tonight. I appreciate hearing from you. Let's talk to Ken. He's in South Georgia. Ken, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead.
Hey, man. How are y'all doing?
Great. What's on your mind tonight?
Okay. The last time I talked to y'all, actually I was talking about my father and my uncle being in World War II. That was if I'm not mistaken, we we went through all that, and that's all fine and dandy. But anyway, we went through how the war got set up in this way and that way.
What are we talking about tonight?
That's all fine. Pardon me?
What are we talking about tonight?
Oh, okay. No, I was just checking in as far as what's going on today with
Did you take some notes? Because you might want to take notes if you're going to lose track of what you're saying. I apologize for being a little brusque here, but we got to move this conversation along here.
Oh yeah. No, what I was getting at was what y'all were talking about just a minute ago.
Cryptocurrency?
No, before that. I'm sorry, before that one.
Okay, I can't keep guessing the things you're talking about. The menus. What were you calling about, Ken? You need to get to the point.
Marijuana. I'm pretty sure that's it. It's marijuana that you're calling it about. That's why you can't remember.
Oh yeah, that's what Oh, here's what. No, it was. I did say no. I'm sorry, but that was the thing. Medical marijuana. What do you? No, I'm.
Go right ahead,
I guess
then,
I
Ken.
mentioned that to the screener. But anyway, what do y'all think about medical marijuana and how it's going to be done, or how it's being done right now?
It is doing just fine. Lots of states have introduced medical marijuana over the last decade or so, and of course California started it back in 1996 with Proposition 215 to be the first state to do it, and ever since then I think we're up to something like 36 states are medical marijuana states, so it's in a lot of places. I don't know what Georgia's current status is, but I suspect it's not that great. The southern states tend to not be real fans of medical marijuana, but even so, we're still seeing some moves in the state of Florida and elsewhere towards, at the very least.
All the way back to 96 in California.
You got it, Ken. Hey, thanks for the call tonight. I appreciate it. Remember, take notes. If you're a little forgetful, always a good idea to jot down a couple
or
things
a little high
about what you want to talk about. Anyway, medical marijuana, it's great. I'm glad that medical patients are able to get their cannabis, but the true freedom would be to end prohibition entirely and allow anybody who wants to grow a plant and or sell a plant to be able to do that. I mean, really, we're talking about flowers here. That's what the marijuana buds are that people are smoking and or ingesting in some other way. All right, so Johnson, Sunday night, Silicon Valley, HBO. Great series. You've been following this show, as have I.
Although I was woefully out of date, but it's very easy to catch up on because each episode's only 20 minutes.
No, they're a half hour. Half hour. If it was on a regular network, it'd be 20 minutes because you'd have to cut commercials out. But the full length HBO series, so it's a half hour long show. And I think there's only 10 episodes per season, so it's not not a big time investment. Really well written program. Mike Judge, of course.
Each episode feels like it could be an hour, and that's not to say that they're slow or boring, but they just cover so much so fast.
It's fast paced,
but it doesn't seem like that because it's just there's a lot of dramatic content.
They get their point across very quickly, and very efficiently. It's well written. It's brilliant comedy. There's even some kind of slapstick physical comedy that happens in the show, in addition to sort of the awkward situations. For listeners who aren't familiar, Silicon Valley is Mike Judge's product, and Mike Judge, of course, many listeners may know that name. He's the director of Beavis and Butthead. He's the director of Office Space, Idiocracy, and so many other great television, King of the Hill, right? So many other great television and film properties out there that have just been wonderful comedies that have entertained audiences over the years. Silicon Valley is his HBO comedy live action series. So he's not in animation. It's a live action, with actors kind of series, and it focuses on, obviously, Silicon Valley, specifically one company, Pied Piper, that you see sort of the genesis of this company and its sort of travails and the difficulties that they go through in trying to get this thing off the ground with their technology. And there's just so much comedy in that they write in. But after 5 seasons now of Silicon Valley, we finally have them addressing cryptocurrency. And that is what happened this week. It was sort of telegraphed earlier in the season. There was one episode where Guilfoyle, who's the key character in this particular plot line, Guilfoyle had his computer at work mining Bitcoin.
Right.
And it would play like a loud heavy metal riff whenever the Bitcoin would be found, I guess.
Something by Napalm Death.
Yeah, something
Sorrow
really,
or something like that. Or,
something really awful.
Yeah.
Very loud. And so it was very sort of noticeable. They were talking about crypto, but it was just sort of a side gag in that particular episode. The episode Sunday night was all about cryptocurrency and the...
You Suffer by Napalm Death.
And the so-called ICO. We'll tell you more about that coming up.
Does your dog itch, scratch, stink, or shed like crazy? Come to Dynavite for help.
Order a 90-day supply of Dynavite.
Everything we tried failed except the Dynavite.
Pick up 2 bottles of Super Mega Fish Oil.
Get the 3rd bottle free. Packed with omega-3, DHA, and EPA fatty acids.
Super Mega is great for your dog's immune system, healthy skin, and soft, shiny fur.
Dogs love it. Try Super Omega Fish Oil.
Buy 2, get 1 free.
At Dynavite.com.
DINOVITE.com.
Cryptocurrencies are successful because of good technology. The liberty-loving voluntarists who founded Zencash in 2017 took the best tech, like zero-knowledge anonymity and decentralized autonomous organizations, and are creating a secure platform for money, messages, and media that can be sent to anyone, anywhere in the world. Zencash is a cryptocurrency dedicated to peace, anonymity, and decentralization. Find out more at zencash.com. That's zencash.com.
I tried other brands, but I came back to my Sunshine.
For the best hot or cold pain relief, get the best. Get a Sunny Bay heating pad.
Sometimes life can be a pain in the neck or back or shoulder.
And the best relief for that pain is a Sunny Bay heating pad. Did you know that the American College of Physicians said that one of the best ways to treat muscle pain is heat therapy? Sunny Bay heating pads are handmade with high quality, can be used at home or at work, and have a lifetime 100% positive rating on both Amazon and Etsy.
Why take another pill?
Many people use our Sunny Bay heating pads alone and got rid of the neck pain.
Long distance travel or long hours in front of a computer can take its toll on your body.
See why our homegrown small business at sunny-bay.com has tried to help people just like you. Get your Sunny Bay heating pads at sunny-bay.com. That's sunny-bay.com or call 253-678-1361 for hot and cold therapy. sunny-bay.com.
We're being attacked by news from all sides in tonight's News Blitz. Now we're homing in on Houston, Texas, where NASA announced today that the crew of the International Space Station has successfully completed their 13-year mission studying man's ability to constantly repair a large object in space. NASA officials hailed the remarkable feat of maintenance at a press conference this afternoon.
And throughout human history, man has gazed at the stars and dreamed of fixing something up there. People once thought the ultimate feat in human repair was a really big boat. Today, we've accomplished so much more.
This comes in the wake of NASA's previous success, finding out how many times an astronaut could hold something in his hand, then let it go, watch it float in front of his face for a bit, then catch it again. All right, dust yourself off. You have survived the News Blitz.
Tune in tomorrow morning to Today Now. We'll look back at Jim's week as a polygamist.
Oh, it's going to be fun.
This is the Onion News Network.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
When you hear the word lobbyist, you probably think about greedy corporations, but not all lobbyists are the same. Some are fighting for the freedoms you hold dear. Liberty Lobby LLC is doing just that in New Hampshire, working hard to represent you, not some special interest group. You can help by going to libertylobby.info, where your contribution will give us the tools we need to ensure that your voice is heard. Visit libertylobby.info today to find out more.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air, and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
This is Free Talk Live, joining you here. The toll-free number you want to join us, 855-450-FREE, but my name is Ian.
And I'm Johnson.
And we've also got Skype. Skype username is lrn.fm. Also, there's our Discord on-air call-in line room, which we are going to go to here in just a moment. But also, we've got the clip from Silicon Valley that I want to make sure we play here tonight. So we're going to start out with that, just because it was so awesome. As I was watching this, I'm like, we're 10 minutes into this thing as I'm watching it, and I'm already hammering out Twitter tweets about what this guy's saying. And I was like, we're 10 minutes in. He's already said two amazing things about cryptocurrency. How much more is going to happen in this show? Turns out those were the most amazing things. But it was pretty awesome to experience this happening on network television, not just network television, but HBO. Very, very popular network with, millions of viewers, with some of the most popular shows out there. I don't know how many millions of people watch Silicon Valley, but it's got to be some amount of millions, right? We're talking about a fairly popular program. It's funny. It's Mike Judge, the same guy behind Beavis and Butthead and Idiocracy and Office Space and so many other great comedies. And here is what happens. Just a quick clip from the show. This is Silicon Valley, Sunday night. This is Season 5, Episode 7. The character Guilfoyle, who is the Satanist programmer, one of the programmers behind the company, the fictional company in the show, pitches an idea to his boss, Richard Hendricks. And it's an idea as to how to get away from venture capital funding, because at this point in the season, they're looking for more funding from venture capitalists, and the previous funding that they've gotten has come with strings attached, and that makes development difficult. It adds in complexities and makes it so the venture capital investors have some amount of control over what's going on. And so Guilfoyle pitches his boss on the idea of doing what they call an ICO, which is a real thing. It's an initial currency offering, or initial coin offering, which has been a way for companies or startups to fund themselves without actually having to go through the venture capital process. Mm-hmm. So here's what happens.
What are we talking about here? You want us to launch a cryptocurrency?
I do. The fact that people are willing to pay many multiples more for our compute credits than they're worth, we have an opportunity here. Worth is relative, Richard.
What do you mean?
Why do people covet the silly pieces of green cotton paper in their wallets? It's because we are all sheep, and we've mutually agreed to endow certain things with value. And right now, for some reason, the market values our credits more than we did.
Guilfoyle, we're not going to suddenly pivot and become a digital currency company.
I'm not proposing a pivot. I'm proposing that we sell digital currency as a way to finance our new internet company. You wanted an alternative to Lori Bream? Well, it's right here in front of you.
Lori Bream is one of the characters in the show. She is the major stakeholder, basically, in this company, and she is a very cold, calculating person and not particularly friendly to work with. And of course, they have to go through her to get more of this funding, or they try this new option of the ICO and cryptocurrency.
Well, it's right here in front of you. Pied Piper Coin.
Okay, look,
that's the name of their company.
I'm not going to bet the entire future of my new internet and everything I've worked for on becoming the next Bitcoin. You really expect me to do that?
There are very few things that I will defend with true passion. Medical marijuana, the biblical Satan as a metaphor for rebellion against tyranny, and cryptocurrency. I have a PowerPoint that I've been wanting to show you for some time.
All right, so then they switch scenes, and he pulls up his PowerPoint, and he starts to show it to him. We'll play the rest of the clip. But as we were watching this, Johnson, you'd asked the question, because we watched this earlier as I was dubbing the audio, you'd asked the question of, where is that PowerPoint? Because he skips through it, because as you'll hear here, the boss doesn't want to actually watch the whole thing. It's like, well, where is this PowerPoint? Because it does look like, when you watch the show, somebody put together a PowerPoint, and it's like several pages long, and he just kind of burns through the whole thing. You can't see it all on screen. And so I went to, because when you look at this, there's one screenshot in the show that shows the one frame from the PowerPoint. It's got piedpiper.com on it, which is, again, their fictional company that they're running. And I thought, I'll just go to the website and see if maybe they put this PowerPoint on it. Right. Turns out they actually did. So if you find yourself wondering, if you watch this episode and you think, I'd like to see what Guilfoyle's PowerPoint presentation looked like. They've actually got the 21-page PowerPoint.
And it looks like it also has the name of the co-producer of the show, so I wonder if she's really well-versed in crypto.
She might be. Either way, it's I haven't read through the whole thing yet, but I've looked through several pages, and it looks pretty good so far. But anyway, here's the rest of the clip.
In 350 BCE, Aristotle defined sound money as being durable, transferable, divisible, scarce, recognizable,
Guilfoyle?
and fungible. What?
Can we skip ahead 2,400 years? I mean, I know what cryptocurrency is.
Richard, a lot of work went into this presentation.
Okay.
Fine. But you're missing out on a lot of wisdom here. Why don't you tell me what you know about Bitcoin as a jumping-off point?
Okay, sure. Well, I'm pretty sure it was founded by a Japanese guy.
Or guys, or girls, going by the name Satoshi Nakamoto in 2008. True identity still unknown.
Okay, look, every day I read an article about how we're in a Bitcoin bubble.
And who is writing those articles? I don't want to say the establishment, but is it possible that Warren Buffett called Bitcoin a pyramid scheme because he has 92 billion conventional dollars to protect?
No, what they're doing here is really important, right?
Right.
They're giving people a little bit of history on Bitcoin. You know, one of the more important questions of where did it come from? Well, an anonymous person or persons. And then, you know, answering the common objection of, well, Bitcoin's scary because mainstream media says so. Well, surprise. A lot of the people in the mainstream media are connected with the old banking industries. And
Right.
so they've got, you know, a big interest in crushing cryptocurrency.
Protect? Let's say he's right. Let's say Bitcoin dies. So what? MySpace, Friendster, they both died. But they paved the way for other social media tripe like Facebook and Twitter to completely overrun the planet. Crypto is out there, and it's not going away.
Yeah! Silicon Valley. And that was just one 2.5-minute long clip from what was an entire show basically about cryptocurrency. Now, I described this, Johnson, as 100% pro-crypto.
Right.
And I think it is. That segment there was full on. This is an advocacy of cryptocurrency. It is an attack against the system, and it's, you know, they really get into it, and it's awesome. But part of the rest of the show is sort of being critical of the ICO process, right? Like they focus on the initial coin offerings and how many of them have failed, how many of them have been scams, and, you know, the very few of them that are successes. So I think the show's been pretty honest so far with what the ICOs have been like. And I'm not going to give up the plot points of the program in as far as what happens with their ICO. You'll have to watch the show to see that for yourself. But the message about cryptocurrency is crystal clear, and they did a great job presenting it there last night. So kudos to Mike Judge and the crew over at Silicon Valley. Unfortunately, we lost our caller, who I guess was not patient enough to get through that. So if you want to comment, you're welcome to jump in here. The toll-free number, 855-450-FREE, like freedom. Also, there is the Skype username, lrn.fm, or the Discord on-air call-in line room, which is part of our larger Discord server where people who listen to the show, or even people who don't listen to the show, come to have conversations about various different things. There is a room there about cryptocurrency, and I dropped a link. Actually, I should drop the link in the crypto room as well. But
I can't seem to find this. So the name of the co-producer on that on the PDF that has the presentation that Guilfoyle supposedly presented is Lisa Skomas or Shomas, who is one of the co-producers of Silicon Valley. She also worked on Ugly Betty and a couple of other shows. And I'm trying to find more information about whether or not she's particularly well-versed in cryptocurrency. And
or is it Mike Judge, or is it all of them?
You know, is it all of them? I don't know. But why is her name in particular on that presentation? You
Well,
know,
to some extent, a lot of these scripts are written by more than one person.
Right.
In a lot of cases. I know Mike Judge is one of the writers, I think, of pretty much all the episodes, if I recall correctly, from, you know, seeing the credits.
She also worked heavily on the Not Hot Dog with TensorFlow
I don't know what that is.
The Not Hot Dog, Jin Yang's Not a Hot Dog app.
Where he was writing an app to identify
Which is a very also
foods.
technical episode. So, you know, I wonder if she's particularly well technically versed writer or something like that, and that's why she does work on those episodes. But who knows?
It's a funny show.
Yeah,
if you like comedy. If you like Mike Judge, you got to watch it. It's
Beavis and Butthead fame.
Yeah, anything that Mike Judge has done, if you've enjoyed his work in the past, you'll love Silicon Valley. You don't have to be too technically adept to follow the show, I don't think. But if you are a tech person, you'll appreciate some of the jokes that they make as well. It's on HBO. It's great. Highly recommended. And we're out of time for tonight, but we'll see you tomorrow online in the meantime. Johnson, your website, libertyminded.com. You want to get some cool cryptocurrency t-shirts? You've got them there, as well as liberty-oriented shirts and official Free Talk Live gear, libertyminded.com. We'll see you tomorrow, freetalklive.com, between now and then.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippies! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you gotta keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadadi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
Hi, this is Mark Edge of Free Talk Live. Michael W. Dean's book, User's Manual for the Human Experience, changed my life. In a culture that attempts to turn you into a compliant victim, this book gives you implementable steps on everything from how to be aware of your environment, walking down the street, to business, to how to handle a toxic person in your life. If you're a human, you need to read this book at least once. Go to Amazon and get the Kindle version, or paperback, or an audiobook of A User's Manual for the Human Experience.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
The latest episode of Declare Your Independence is next, after the news, here on the Liberty Radio Network, LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Tuesday, May 8th, 2018. Silver is trading at $16.50 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,311 per ounce. Zencash is trading at $37, and the average price of Bitcoin is $9,113. Antiwar.com reports in a tweet on Monday afternoon, President Trump said he will announce his decision on the Iran nuclear deal in his May 12th ultimatum on Tuesday afternoon at 2 p.m. Though some officials have suggested Trump will likely withdraw from the deal, analysts appear split on what to expect. Trump has been sour on the Iran deal since before the election and demanded massive changes by May 12th to keep the U.S. in. European nations have offered a package of concessions to the U.S., though it's not clear what or whether it will be enough. Some analysts suggest Trump might sign one last waiver for sanctions relief obligated under the deal as a way of delaying the decision. In this case, Trump would likely continue to refuse to certify the deal either way, but not directly violate it with new sanctions. The price of oil has been rising in recent weeks, expecting the restoration of U.S. sanctions. Officials say that whether or not the sanctions are put back in place, their impact will